Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for your patience. It's a beautiful spring day. People are rolling on in. It's the end of the school vacations. I understand. Hard to be at a meeting when it's so lovely outside. So I thank everybody for their time, for their attention, for their presence. It's 6:18. This is the Manhattan Community Board 1 full board meeting. And if you have not signed in, please scan the QR code or go to live.mcb1.nyc and fill in your attendance so we can make sure we have that all correct. My name is Tammy Meltzer. We normally start with the public session, but we do have two of our electeds here. So I'm going to check on their timing first to see how many other places they need to be before we roll through the public session.
6.
Yeah.
Well, if we
Yes.
could go,
Yeah.
we can speak now, that would be.
Yeah, that would be great. So we'll start with our elected officials and we'll welcome Assembly Member Grace Leisure.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Well, we'll keep it brief too. Okay. I don't stand up here, but it feels awkward. So I'm gonna.
Yeah, I promise they'll get you.
Well, happy to be here after we passed the state budget, about a week and a half ago. $237 billion budget, not a small thing. In the budget, there were a few things that I led, through that process. The first was the Hate Crimes Modernization Act, which I introduced last fall with Senator Brad Hoylman and Siegel. We are adding 23 new offenses to the hate crime statute, 23 underlying offenses that can be now charged as hate crimes. So as an example, gang assault, other violent crimes such as rape, can now be charged as hate crimes. Previously, these offenses could not be charged under the hate crime statute because they were not included. Also included is swatting. So we've seen that recently with the uptick in anti-Semitic acts that people have been calling in fake bomb threats to synagogues, and now that can be charged as a hate crime. So we are really trying to make sure that the laws are keeping up with the surge in hate crimes against all communities. And this was one way that we were able to do that. We were lucky to have the governor champion it in her executive budget, and we were able to pass it through just recently. We also did $30 million in the budget for Asian American organizations. And the park hopefully will be a beneficiary of some of that money, but really happy with that. That helps to support a lot of the Asian organizations, particularly down in Lower Manhattan, that provide a lot of essential social services. We did $4 million for settlement houses, which is really great as well. It was the first time in 20 years that we have increased the amount of money that settlement houses are providing, which is crazy given how much they do for our communities, especially now given the migrant crisis. We did some big things in housing. I don't know how many of you have been following along, for better or worse. I mean, it was a really difficult negotiation, and typically I don't like to do this part of the speech without Brian here, since Brian is Senator Kavanaugh was so involved in the legislation, but I'll do my best. We passed good cause eviction to help protect market rate tenants from kind of irrational over increases in rent. And that will cover a very large portion of New Yorkers. There are some exclusions to good cause that we were fighting against, but the governor and the real estate industry really pushed back on us on. But essentially it will be 200, anyone whose rent is equivalent to 245% of fair market rent. These rent levels are based on HUD, annual HUD rent levels, market rate levels. Will be included and covered by good cause eviction. So this is the first time ever in state history that we will have any types of tenant protections for market rate tenants. So this is a really big victory for all of us. We were hoping that it would be more expansive, but it is still a good win. We have a new 421A program. It's known as 485X. That will help to, that will be a tax incentive to help build more housing. Different from 421A, any of the affordable housing that is created through this program will be permanently affordable. We are looking at much lower AMIs as well. And, a lot of the pushback about 421A is that it didn't really include people at lower income levels. And so the previous model went up to 130% of AMI. We are now capping it at 100% of AMI, and it will go, the weighted average has to be at 80% of AMI for 25% of any housing built, and it will be permanently affordable. So that is a significant change and benefit. We have also extended 421A. So for those who were part of the 421A program, but were not able to finish their buildings on time, they now have the option of going with 421A or participating in the new 485X program. And there are some parameters around how they would do that. Some details that I don't have on me, but there is a process for developers to look into that. That may be relevant to a number of the buildings in Lower Manhattan. Thinking of 250 Water Street is one of those. So we will have to see how that kind of shapes up down here in Lower Manhattan. We did also increase the FAR cap. So it was originally set at 12 FAR, and now we have let that become whatever the city wants to set for rezoning. Any lifting of the FAR cap around New York City would still have to go through a rezoning process, but the state is allowing the city to set those density levels now. So that will be another thing I think the community board will be looking into pretty with in their land use committee. In addition, illegal cannabis enforcement has been a really big issue. I want to thank this community board for being such great advocates and for giving me so much information to take back to Albany. Thank you, Tammy.
Jared.
And Jared, yes, lots of feedback. And I'm like bringing everything back to the legislature, just so you know, it's not getting lost in a black hole, and we are following up. But we have given municipalities, including New York City, the ability to padlock upon discovery of illegal cannabis being sold. So this is a big OCM, and New York City now have the ability to immediately padlock. So they will go through a civil process once they get padlocked. That's a big thing. We also have increased penalties for landlords who knowingly are renting to illegal cannabis stores. Another big benefit, I think that will help us to start closing down some of these illegal cannabis stores. My office is going to be following up with the sheriff's office this week to kind of see where we are on, kind of moving that forward. I think a lot of this will be managed by the sheriff's office, not by NYPD. There is a desire still not to be criminalizing the cannabis industry. So we are really looking at civil penalties for the most part. But it's still a huge improvement from what we have been dealing with more recently. So I think those are, some of the big things. We've been working really closely with the council member's office and the senator's office on issues with the jail in Chinatown. The city has agreed. We are in the process of discussing independent community monitor with the city. And we are, having some continued discussions. They seem to be open to the idea, but we need to have some more conversations. But hopefully we will have someone who can represent the community on a lot of the environmental issues that the local neighborhood is dealing with that are related to the jail and the construction. It is concerning to hear that the cost of building all the borough-based jails is now at $16 billion.
Yep.
The mayor just announced that. So, I think that this is something that we need to continue to monitor closely. So thank you for all of you for your advocacy. I hope that you can see it reflected in, the policy work that we're doing up in Albany. And my office is always open for any of you to contact me if you have any other ideas or any other issues that you need to us to take care of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
hands up for questions. We'll go around the room. Vicky, and then Mimi, and then Eric.
Hi, thank you. I was hoping, are you please giving a summary of the changes for 421A and this new program? Is that written somewhere in detail?
Yes, we can, if you, Hayden is right here. He can, if you guys can exchange information, then our office can send that to you.
Would you please?
Yeah, we'd love to add you to our news.
Very
too.
important news in the world of architecture.
Yes, yes, that's great.
You said the road commission had some limitations that you weren't crazy about. Could you
Yes.
Say a couple more words about it.
So the original good cause eviction, as the bill was written, would have protected any market rate tenant regardless of what level of rent they were paying. And in this version that was passed, only renters with rents at 245% of fair market rent and below will be protected. For a 2-bedroom apartment, that's about $8,000. So it's not a small rent, but you know, given just how crazy rents are, especially in Manhattan, you know, all of the Manhattan legislators push back. Because, you know, originally it was at 185% of FMR, which have been drastically lower. I mean, it wouldn't have covered anyone. Other exclusions, any building that was built 15 years prior to 2024, whatever that number is, bad at math, 2009, thank you. And will be excluded for an additional 15 years, and it's a rolling 30 years, if that makes sense. So the exclusions for 30 years. So any new development from today on will be excluded for 30 years, but it goes back 15 years. That makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. So there'll be another, so there are exclusions on new developments as well, which is different from other states that have passed good cause eviction. So this is a pretty big one. In addition, any owner of 10 units or less will also be excluded from this program. So if you own 10, if you have one building with 8 units in it, that you are excluded, but it's based on the number of units, not based on building, and it's based on owner, not building, if that makes sense.
So they have multiple buildings.
And each of them had 5 units in them. And that they had 3 buildings, each had 5 units in them, that's 15 units, so they are not excluded.
And
Even if
even-
it's for LLCs that own each.
That's
other.
correct,
Yeah.
yeah.
And even if you have a percentage too of that.
Yeah, so if there are multiple people who own an LLC, so you have 2 people, one has 90% ownership in the LLC, and one has 10% of ownership in an LLC with 10 units, it doesn't get divided 9 and 1. That means that those 10 units are associated with each person who is in the LLC. It's very complicated and it's very opaque for the average person. So that was something we were really pushing back on. But in the way the guidelines are now set up, when you are going to renew your lease or in a new lease, it will be disclosed specifically whether you qualify for good cause eviction or not. So it'll be very clearly spelled out for the tenant. And if they are not, if the apartment does not qualify for good cause eviction, it will need to be explained by the landlord or the management company why the unit does not qualify for good cause.
So we have Eric and then Paul has his hand up online as well.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
hi Grace. How do you reconcile your support for congestion pricing when this is going to impact residents? It's going to increase our cost of living just to travel. Not even in New York City, but in Manhattan alone. I mean, it's going to be an increased burden on our businesses. Why do you support it? I mean, why did you support it?
I didn't support it. Congestion pricing was voted into law well before I became an assembly member. And I don't think I've ever said on the record that I supported in like its totality. I sent a letter with Senator Kavanaugh calling on the MTA to incorporate residential exemptions into their policies. And we have a bill that we are working on as well, that we're looking to introduce to that effect as well. I think the problem here is, one, walking into policy that's already written and already passed, I can't change it. And two, the unwillingness by the most senior leaders in the legislature and the governor to their unwillingness to change the policy. So if you want, I can call on 100% residential exemptions and demand that, but we're not going to get it. So we have to think about what type of strategies that we can implement and how I can make sure that our community gets taken care of when this policy gets implemented, in order to, to have some protections for all of you. I mean, that is making sure that like as this money gets raised, that it gets invested back into our district, because we are the ones that are being impacted by it. That means getting more increased bus service and subway service, so that for the people who aren't going to be driving anymore, that they have enhanced services, and that we see capital improvement projects in our area. That means air monitors and, air quality checks along the areas of Lower Manhattan that are going to be increased by increased air pollution. I would love to see residential exemptions of some kind. We are working on a bill actively right now, but that is something, it's going to be a lot of work for me to get through the legislature. But I am working on it. We put it into a letter that we sent to the MTA during the public comment period. So we'll see what happens. I mean, other things that I stood up for and insisted on in this year's budget was to ensure that people who are evading the tolls by putting license plate covers on their license plates or damaging their license plates so they do not pay tolls, actually get held accountable for that. We have new language that allows for increased enhanced fines for people, and is calling on the state to take enforcement more seriously. And and so those are other things that we need to be doing.
I'm sorry that.
Eric.
Yeah.
Eric.
Can I have a rebuttal or some kind of comment back?
I will tell you, once everybody else is gone, then we can come back for second round.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, this is a topic near and dear, and I understand that, and we will be here until 10, just talking to Grace about this. Paul, you had your hand up online, and then we go through the room.
No, I lowered my hand. Thank you.
Okay, Joe, and then,
How much is the fine for violation?
I have to look up the exact amount, but I'll find out.
My
Yeah.
point is, if you made it $1,000 the
Yeah.
first time and 2,000 the second time, you might be successful.
Yeah.
$200, I
I'm
believe.
just-
$200.
Yeah, well, if
Heard it on NPR this
you
morning.
make it 1,000 and up, it'll be successful.
$200.
Nowadays, $100.
Yeah.
Some people don't think it counts.
And then repeat offenses are taken more serious. So, yeah.
okay, thank you. Jared.
Just more of, I guess, a comment and a question on that. My understanding is that in London, which is frequently cited as an example of what has been done elsewhere, my understanding is that if you live in the zone there, you can purchase a permit, an annual permit, which is like an all-you-can-eat type of situation. Maybe something of that nature balances the needs to raise cash along with the, not getting charged every single time you enter a raise it.
Yeah. Thanks, that's okay.
We'll just keep going this way. 1, 2, and then Susan will have the last one. Go ahead. That's you.
Maureen.
Morton, that's you.
No, I was just gonna follow up what Jared.
Yeah.
Jared said, when you take, MTA, like Metro North or Long Island Railroad, you can buy a monthly pass. So that would be, an equivalent. So you can go as many trips as you need, and perhaps that would be an argument in favor of a monthly pass for congestion pricing.
You can get a monthly pass for the metro now?
Well,
Yeah.
you used to,
You still have it.
you used to, and I used to commute. I just love coming.
The
They were
Stanley,
made out of stone tablets when I was.
sort of on the same topic. And Tammy was the one who, pointed this out to me, is that there is a technicality whether you touch city roads versus state roads. So if you go north on the, FDR, you're not charged, but if you go south, when you come off the Brooklyn Bridge, you will be charged because you touch city roads. Like, is that the kind of stuff you're working on? Because that's like really Yes. illogical. Yes, Yeah.
Someone just brought that up with me the other day, and I'm going to follow up with MTA. Our contact in Intergov was out for the Jewish holiday, so we are gonna follow up on that.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
80 feet of Park Street worth $15 a
Yeah,
car.
exactly. I think that that's really
Yeah.
an easy one to fix.
Yeah.
Just
Definitely.
flagging that's on, transportation agenda for tomorrow night.
Okay, is MTA coming?
No.
Susan,
They had something that you could get a pass, or you could apply for something, but nobody knows how, or where, or when. Right? I mean, I'm not off the wall. They said, oh, well, if you're a resident, you can apply, but go try to find out how.
so I'm gonna tag to where Susan is on that. I think, even when they did the residential exemption, asking people who can barely afford to pay for it, who
Yeah.
must require to use a car, to pay and then get credited back.
Yes,
In the age of technology, we have Easy Pass.
yeah.
It's not like you can't
Figure it out.
figure this out. So I really,
That's additional feedback that we had for the MTA as well.
yeah,
Yeah, that shouldn't be like a tax credit that where they file their taxes and they get it back afterwards. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
zero.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
and
totally impractical for low-income people who live paycheck to paycheck too.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. So that's one of those things that puts me crazy. Paul, your hand is up. Okay, thank you.
Paul?
I just want, I mean, this note,
Uh-oh.
question
Paul?
pricing is that, yes. Do you hear me?
Yes, just speak slowly, please.
Okay. I was just gonna say on congestion pricing, the notion that if you drive in the zone for 1 minute, you're taxed the full amount, that seems illogical. And I think they should base it at a minimum on the amount of time you spend in the zone and not just a flat fee for somebody who's going right onto the Brooklyn Bridge to go into Brooklyn. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. All right, do I have any other hands up in the room? Seeing Paul, I'm gonna lower your hand behind me. Thank you. You got it. We always have lots of fun stuff to send you, and I appreciate your due diligence in responding to us and listening to us. We really are very grateful, and thank you for showing up on it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, all right.
Oh, Rabbi,
I am also still working on the issue of proximity to schools.
All right, so this is something that everyone should know, because we have approached not only Assemblymember Lee, but also Councilmember Marte, to try and plug the hole in the cannabis licensing that allows local determination of some things. And no offense to those in Albany, the inability of people in Albany to understand that New York City, with its limited footprint of real estate, many of our schools, and especially the ones that are newly built, are in mixed-use environment buildings. So exclusive use and same road is immaterial. When you think of, I'll use Millennium High School, fabulous, well-regarded high school. And I would hate to see a legal dispensary in the lobby because it's a mixed-use building and they can't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the classic answer
Yeah.
to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And so trying to find the plug the holes between state and city is where we're going. And I think we may need to make this a community board roadshow, to other community boards. So we get not only Chris, but every council member a little more fired up.
When we were in conference, we had multiple legislators talk about it. So there are other districts that, and legislators who are aware of it because of their community board. So we will,
It's great.
and let me see if I can.
Playground.
Sorry, just, so the,
And the
and
playground.
the playground one is particularly weird.
Okay,
It reserves the right to the local municipality to enact a distancing prohibition. So the local municipality, in this case, New York City, has to actually put a law in place to create any type of distancing requirement from a public use facility.
even for New York City?
But it also carves out, it does not apply to any card license. The OCN
Right.
regulation specifically, even if the city passes a law, says that it does not apply to the card licenses.
Which makes no sense. It's, why does one, that's preferential treatment for one versus all? It doesn't make any sense. Rosa, you have the last call.
No,
Eric has a rebuttal.
I'm sure he does. Go ahead.
I would ask, hey Grace,
Hi.
I would ask, does open space of any kind count as a playground, number one? Number two, how long is it gonna take for these illegal shops to get closed down? Because I probably walked by over 10 of them just to get to the meeting today. And they were all open and they were not padlocked, and so I'm wondering, what's the time frame for when we can actually expect these to
the
shut
governor.
down?
Yeah, well, they've started in parts of the city, but our office is following up with the sheriff's office to find out when we can get a timeline. The good thing is, they don't need to reinvestigate stores if they have evidence that they have been selling illegally, and the powers are very broad, they can go ahead and start padlocking them. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to start doing that. We'll start seeing that very soon, because the sheriff has been in our district
Yeah.
quite a bit.
So one of the things I want to tag to help for both of you, 311 does not have a place to be able to log illegal cannabis stores,
Oh,
period. And if you call 311, they tell you you have to call the state agency. You call OCM, they tell you you must do it online, but you can't get any documentation that you've actually filed. You hit the
Yeah.
button, and it goes into the ether. For the community board to be able to help the sheriff and help the local constituency and stakeholders, what we need is 311, because that way we know a trackable 311 request can be sent.
Yeah.
And that, otherwise, we have,
And the mayor asked for the power to do this, to be able to shut down illegal cannabis stores. So we are giving them the power now, so we can do a letter or something.
One-
Just to follow up, if you're updating 311, there was a broken bench and there's no way to report that. So if you could have on 311, the illegal cannabis, but also other on there, because there's no way to do it. If the 311 system is a problem online.
that's a DOT thing, which I'll get to. Eric,
Thank you. So Grace, you're right. You didn't vote for it, but would you ever consider repealing it, voting to repeal it? And residential exemptions aren't enough because it's going to negatively impact our
So I'll
economy.
tell you the,
Because
yeah,
now for businesses, trucks that enter in, they have to pay the fee. They're gonna pass on the fee to residents. Manhattan is not the only place to do business. And if we think that we can just increase the cost to do business in Manhattan and New York City, we're gonna lose out. And once the MTA begins collecting tolls and then there's bonds issued, we won't be able to retract from that. And they give us the money. So it's not too late, but once we let them start it, the toll will start off at 15. Exemptions will come and go, and then also the toll will increase over time.
Yeah.
So.
I
What do
mean,
you
I
do?
I know that the community is, many in the community are not happy with congestion pricing. I am not the governor, I'm not the speaker, the majority leader, there are people way above my pay grade who are, ultimately directing a lot of what this legislation looks like and whether we can repeal something. I mean, we have a bill for residential exemption that Harvey Epstein introduced. It has no Senate sponsor. So we cannot pass bills in one house. We cannot pass bills that have no co-sponsors, like there's not enough there's not enough collective support to repeal congestion pricing at this time. So now me coming in with this policy in place, I need to make sure that I'm advocating as aggressively as possible within the boundaries that I can for the community. And I will continue to do that. If we see that this is a complete failure, this is causing, like, we will have real evidence to demonstrate that this is, the burden that we said it was going to be to the community. If that is what happens, I will be there. I will be fighting for it. But I am going to introduce, we are looking to introduce a residential exemption bill that possibly could pass. We will see how it goes. So that's on the horizon.
But once it's implemented, it's too late.
Eric,
We can have clarity.
It's 6:29. I am absolutely done. Thank you, Grace, for coming.
Thank you,
Betty, I'm sorry I missed you. Okay, that's okay. Chris, welcome, Christopher Martin, council member.
Hey, everyone. It's good to see many people here. We had our State of the District, 2 weeks now. It was a great event. Thank you everyone for attending. We were able to recap everything we've done these past 2 years and things that we're currently working on. We also had Alvin Bragg there, which was great as an opener, and some of our local nonprofits doing performances. So it was a fun event, but thanks everyone that showed up. We wrapped up participatory budgeting. In the next 3 weeks, we're gonna announce the winners. I'll give you a hint, tree planting is probably the favorite. And on that note, by the end of this year, we would have planted, in my first 3 years in office, 500 new trees. And plus, tree barriers as well, with them. And so I think that's a good accomplishment, especially there's streets that never had a tree before that are finally getting trees. Even on East Broadway, where my office is, we never had a tree in the history of East Broadway, and now we have 4. And so it's just nice to see, honestly. A few months ago, DSNY and DCAS was in front of the community board talking about 7 North Moore, which is a city-owned land with an old building that DSNY no longer uses. They wanted to do a site deposition on it to sell it to the highest bidder. We intervened, especially since the community board wrote a resolution that they did not want to just give this site off to whatever landlord or developer wanted to take it over. So we stopped them from doing so. We told the agencies to go back and reconsider transferring it to other agencies that can possibly use it for other needs. We gave them a few ideas, whether it's like a senior center or a clinic that H&H can run. And so DCAS and the agencies are gonna get together, give us kind of like a framework for us to come back to the community board and discuss what are some things we would like to prioritize at that site. So we don't know how quickly they're gonna do this, but at least that's gonna be, hopefully in the near future, we'll be able to do something that's more community oriented at that location. Last week we had a bike helmet giveaway. We gave away more than 1,000 helmets, which is pretty great. It was our biggest event. In addition, we had a tennis event at Washington Market Park's tennis court. I got to see Bob Townley play tennis, fun in itself. And it was a great way for the community to just learn how to play tennis. We want to do these more regularly. If John, of course, wants to host them with us, just to give people more access to the tennis court. We're doing tree cleaning projects all over the district. We already had 2. So if anyone wants us to do one in their neighborhood, how to teach the community how to like take care of a tree and adopt a tree, we will bring all the equipment. We'll bring the compost and everything. Just reach out to Connor on my team and we'll try to organize that. We have a pet adoption event on May 19th. That's going to be on the corner of Essex and Canal. Let us know if you want to join or promote that as well. And the final thing I'm going to talk about is the City of Yes. Many of you know we're still in the process or close to the tail end process of the economic opportunity. Thankfully, there have been some changes. They came in front of the council on April 8th for their initial subcommittee hearing. We asked them a few questions. But we got some changes off of that, especially when it comes to restaurants, bars, and nightclubs. They're gonna put restriction when it comes to capacity of how many people in a space, that they're gonna allow for dancing or ticketed events. We were able to narrow the amount of uses that they're gonna allow in mixed-use buildings. They're also not gonna allow residential to commercial spaces of apartments. I know that was something that was brought up at this community board. And also, we want to make some additional changes to what type of commercial storefront there can be. We don't want streets just to be empty with mini warehouses. We actually want businesses that allow traffic to come in and out. But there are still a lot of question marks, right? For example, in other parts of my district where we have a lot of public housing, commercial spaces can still be used right now by any type of use. We want to limit to what can go in there. We want the council to have the final say. Right now, they'll just get permission from city planning, which typically doesn't represent the community in many of these cases. So there's still a big fight ahead of us. I know a lot of my fellow colleagues in the outer boroughs still have major issues with this. And so there still will be a lot of negotiation happening. And I think right now, I would say the majority of the council is either a no or needs to get to a not no. So I think there's going to be a lot more compromises in the last few weeks before it actually comes to a vote, which is good because it gives us a lot of leverage. And as many of you know, housing opportunity, the text was finally released, I think 2 weeks ago. Connor and my team is almost done going through the hundreds of pages of it. So once you start having meetings, or if you have questions now, feel free to reach out to Connor. And once he's done, he's going to do what he did for economic opportunity, do a 1-pager or maybe probably like a 4-pager, talking about some of the red flags, some of the positives and negatives of what the initial package is. Of course, as we all know, it will change. Public hearings will start fairly soon. I'll send out the dates for that in my upcoming newsletter. And the housing opportunity is much different than the last two citywide tax rezoning, where this is actually going through a full EIS process. And so there'll be a lot more opportunities for the public to have a say on it. And so we'll list all of that out. And we're going to start doing presentations to different co-op boards like we did and political groups as well. So more people can get involved because we think this is going to be the bigger fight. The first one, the carbon neutrality, was pretty easy. It was good, mostly supported by everyone. Economic opportunity was 50-50, but we feel like this is going to be the big battle, especially now that they passed the housing package that they did, where, you know, they're allowing unlimited FAR, which is pretty scary, especially for my district. And so we'll see how this develops, and I will definitely keep you informed, and my team will be here to help anybody understand or walk through them throughout this process. That's it. Hopefully the next one tonight, and
Thank you, Chris.
So
I got my hand up.
I'm just gonna say one thing about the City of Yes Housing for Opportunity, the economic opportunity. As you know, I'm sure SDS will speak about it tonight as well. Community Board 1 has a huge problem with storefronts being vacant. And we have a huge problem with affordable housing.
Yeah.
Anything, quite frankly, that eliminates housing or compromises housing for the sake of adding commercial above ground level seems to be counterintuitive to the directions of the things that we need as a district. We're not the only one in your community district who says things like this. Even uptown are saying things like this. So I really struggle with where the mayor went, putting this before their housing proposals and the way the timing of everything works. Sure, you absolutely, we don't need historic districts, it seems, anymore. We don't need FAR limits anymore. We can just build to infinity and beyond. And that's how we're solving the housing crisis. Doesn't actually seem to be a real solution. It seems to be a way to pass the buck. And I am concerned that when this comes out of city council and all the little 18 proposals that are down there, it's actually not gonna do anything necessarily that's gonna benefit the struggles that we have continuing in the community.
I agree. And also, my team does have like a 7-pager that goes through all the revisions that were made by city planning. If anyone wants to have access to that, just email me or Connor, will send this over to you. I didn't want to print out 50 because it'll be a lot of paper twice.
And they're all your trees.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you send it, you can also post it online.
okay.
So the street trees,
Uh-huh.
they'll be cared for by the Parks Department for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Is there a way, like, in the next 2 years to make it so that they could take care of them a little bit longer?
It's honestly a budget item. I think they would do it if financially the city will allow them to. Parks has faced a lot of cuts, especially with their temporary workers who are the ones that take care of trees most of the time. And so it's mostly, it's not that they don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Right now, they just set that limit just because they don't have the financial means to cover, going further. But the organizations that are taking care of those trees, like Glorious Site Ecology, they're also facing budget cuts from this administration. And I didn't talk about the budget yet because we're still in the midst of it. Luckily this year, we're not facing another round of budget cuts, so at least we've hit the floor on that. But now it's making sure that we restore cuts from the previous 2 years, right? This is everything from schools to the Parks Department to community organizations that take care of our trees and do composting as well, and libraries. So I think we would love to do that. I just don't know if it's in the mayor's austerity budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jared, and then Justine, Rosa, and Eric. And we're gonna limit to 2 minutes because it's 7 PM. Go for
The
it.
only thing I was gonna say is almost the opposite of that, or what Mamie said, which is, I would love to actually figure out a way to have the cost of the trees lowered. Because the cost at the moment is extraordinary. I mean, and I understand it's not, there's a lot that goes into it. There's a 2-year guarantee, they water it, there's a contract with the contractor, et cetera, but the cost is substantially above what the actual raw cost of the tree is.
I agree, and we've thought of other ways to minimize the cost by working with nonprofits instead. Not every nonprofit can do that, which makes it hard, or do it at that quantity, at that scale. And so, right now it costs a little bit more than $4,000 a tree, which is insane.
Right, given that tree, it was about $200.
Yeah, a tree is $200. And so, we thought about it, especially my first year. But we felt like if we wanted to plant the most trees, this was the route we were gonna have to take. But we work with like horticulture and, Grow NYC on smaller initiatives like planters and stuff, but to do wide scale tree, across the district would have been hard for them, for sure.
Next.
Me? No, I think you went that way. I think,
How would you, because you haven't said anything yet.
shockingly, right? Chris, thank you. Thank you so much. I wanted to ask you a question about, something I read in the broadsheet yesterday, from the, Department of City Planning, where it said that the municipal offices in 2023 approved more new housing units in Lower Manhattan than any other community in the 5 boroughs. And that was all, what at least here in the article, it was all conversions,
Yeah.
exactly. The question I have is how, and you may not know, but I asked this to this whole body and where we can follow it, how much of that is affordable?
None of it has to be affordable.
Zero.
Yeah, that is disgusting.
And so that-
Sorry, not.
Yeah,
but
no,
that is disgusting.
when I spoke to, city planning, before they even introduced the housing opportunity, to ask them if they would force some sort of percentage to affordable housing. We'll see
See what
if we
happens.
get
yeah.
that at the end of the line, but right now, they can do as much conversion as they want.
I mean, which is a good thing,
Mhm.
better than it sits empty, but we need affordable housing down here. We do not need more unaffordable housing.
I agree.
Thank you so much.
Rosa, you're next.
Hello. A couple of questions. Number one, on the FAR, how does that impact our historic district? I guess is the question. Number two, on the trees, we'd like some. Also touching base on what you said about city council and, the city budget related to parks, we just don't have enough funding for the parks.
Yeah.
How are you able to help us to get funding, especially downtown where we have so few parks? And all of our parks that are currently on the perimeter are still being literally torn apart and rebuilt. And how are we able to invest in the spaces that we do have to make sure that they're actually in a good enough condition? I know that with all of our parking groups downtown, there is a real concern that a lot of these spaces do not have, they just are not of a size where they are able to, you know, let's say pay for services, supplementary services to get the spaces taken care of. And while there are friends groups there that are trying to take care of them, they need more attention. They need, you know, planning involvement from parks, involvement from DOT. How are we able to sort of move that forward?
Yeah, so for your first question, as Assemblymember mentioned, even though they lifted the cap, it's up to the typical city rezoning process to decide how high you allow that neighborhood or that area or that spot rezoning to go up. So that's, I'll tell you right now, I'm not gonna allow anything to go higher than what it currently is, especially in my district. We have the second highly dense district. It's only becoming more denser, as Justine mentioned, because now we have a lot more residential. But there are some council members that do see this as an opportunity, and they're gonna test the waters first, right? So especially council members in Manhattan that are targeted to go above their current FAR. We'll see if they try to do it in the next 2 years. And I think that's gonna really test whether we allow massive towers to go up bigger than they currently are. I think less likely so in the outer boroughs, but places like Long Island City or downtown Brooklyn could be up for grabs too. But I think their council members, especially like someone like Julie Wong, would not entertain that in Long Island City. Downtown Brooklyn, I don't know if Lincoln will be open to that, but we'll see what happens in Midtown Manhattan, which I think is why they wanted to lift it, to allow massive towers to go up. So we'll see how that affects those historic districts and landmark buildings that are in that area. There are a few there, and so we just don't know how it's gonna affect it, honestly. When it comes to funding for parks, I completely agree with you. I see you at those 1% for parks rallies all the time. And instead of getting more funding, the administration the past 2 years have been cutting funding. And so it's been hard on individual council members to really try to fill in those gaps with crumbs, right? Like I try to give a lot of my friend groups $10,000, $5,000, $15,000, depending on their seasonal programmatic costs. But that's not enough for them to add the supplemental, you know, cleanups, the supplemental planting. You know, we fund, part of our funding for ACE and Grow NYC and Earth Matters goes to clean, or LES Ecologies to go to clean these parks. And that only goes so far. And, you know, the age of our playgrounds, which some of them are the oldest, I think in the city, are reaching that point where they're starting to be unusable. And so for us, and I think for everyone, is pushing this administration to allocate more money. You know, the council told this mayor for the past 2 years, there's $6 billion that he's not seeing. And, you know, come December, when his poll rating was at an all-time low, he found billions of dollars. And so I think for me, that was voters and residents speaking up in a way that he had to pay attention. So I think advocacy does help. But we're not only facing it in parks, right? And it's hard for us when we make our speaker list or when we have our, you know, $4 million of capital costs to decide where to go, right? Like we have schools that need a lot of funding for, you know, updates to their computer labs, auditoriums, playground, even like water fountain. And the DOE is like, we don't have the money for that. It has to come from the local council member. And so it's really hard to choose like what's gonna help more of the public good. But I think if we want to get the most money in quicker, that's making sure the administration actually pays attention to the community's voices. And so come to the, yeah. Okay, now I'll go to the next question. What was the last question?
Well, I don't remember, but now I'm just gonna say library inside the Brooklyn Bridge Vault, and we'd like the swimming pool because your district is, which is our district, is the only one in Manhattan that does not have a public swimming pool.
We actually do have a public swimming pool in Vesuvio Playground, but it's only for kids.
Yeah.
But I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus pool is our.
Yeah, that's what we're asking for, yeah.
Eric, you're the last one for the council member.
Yeah, hi, Chris. Look, I know that congestion pricing was approved by the state, but what can you do? Are you willing to do anything to stop this?
We've done as much as much.
Supported, I'm not sure.
We asked for 100% local exemption. You know, I partnered with the 4 council members that are within the central business bid, and as a coalition, we wrote 3 joint letters to the MTA every time they had a hearing, explaining that. There's nothing, like, we can continue to advocate for it and support our state colleagues in their fight, and maybe pass resolutions from the city council to support what they're doing, but, you know, it's out of my hands. That's very limited that I can do.
Supporting exemptions for residents is the same thing as supporting congestion.
Okay.
I'll have that debate here. Collective side grown. We have a long night ahead of us. Does anybody else have any other different questions for our girls? Cody?
I have one quick.
Yeah.
As you know, Sammy's Law passed
Yeah.
in the state budget. Is there any movement in this council to lower speed limits?
Yeah, there is. And we're waiting to see whether DOT does it through rule making or whether they want us to legislate it. We typically give the city agency 6 months to a year to see if they'll make that change. If not, then we'll introduce legislation. You know, the council have been super supportive of Sammy's Law. We passed a resolution, I think almost every year in the past 8 years that they've been fighting for it.
All right. So thank you.
Of course.
Okay. So, I think with that, oh, sorry, Andrea.
I mean, if you lower, I mean, I get what people say, but if you lower it any more, what's the point of having congestion pricing, right? If you're gonna free up the roads to be able to get to where they wanna go, but then you just put on like a 20-mile-per-hour limit, you scream congestion again. You know, someone who has to going to a hospital, going to an appointment, bringing goods into the city, time is money. A lot of things are coming in from Jersey, they're coming from the other borough. They have to pay their drivers, to come in here to get their stuff done and then leave on time. So if you just keep on making it so slow, are people going to come in on horse and carriage or push it back? So I'm serious.
No,
Really, even I can walk out to 20 miles per hour and I'm not in good shape.
I mean, in Lower Manhattan, if you're going above 30, I don't know what street you're on.
Yeah.
That's all right. But
You're on a motorcycle on the bike lane.
touche.
Yeah.
But also, this year, we have experienced more deaths due to cars. And it only seems the trend is going upward. And so this is a way to save lives, right? Like, people shouldn't be dying because they're being hit by a car and the car is going fast. And I think there's a difference between a car hitting you at 30 miles per hour and a car hitting you at 20 miles per hour, and that's your life. And so if the trend was going down like it was before the pandemic, where Vision Zero was actually working and people are like, why do we need to lower it? Because it seems like things are going the right way. But what we've been experiencing in the past 2 years has been everyone's worst nightmare. And we're not even done with the year. And we already have one of the worst years on record in the past decade. And so I wish I could just say we don't need to lower it. But I think because of the stats we're seeing on the streets and the deaths and the incidents that don't even get mentioned as much as the deaths, I think we do need to lower it.
But how many people who are being killed by those drivers are like, are these like law-abiding drivers, the people who, are, scoff laws and have like, prior incidents? Why are we punishing the 90%, 95% who are law-abiding with some people who are just actively scoff laws and doesn't matter if you lower the.
Andrea, I think it goes back to when they finally started cracking down on the illegal license plates and the fare evaders, and they said that could be 400 million. And the rest of us who were sitting here going, that's 4/10 of the way down to the billion that you're looking for. Gee, we wish you would have started with that. I wish there was better checks and balances on the MTA. We're here from their management thus far. That's all I'm gonna say on this. And yeah, Jared, you are the last and final comment.
To your point, though, you can lower the speed limit to any mile per hour if it's not coupled with enforcement.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's a huge one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the one thing I've learned from being chair since the pandemic started, which is kind of where I got into this chair, is that without enforcement,
Nothing works.
nothing works.
Yeah.
And what we've seen past pandemic is a huge pendulum swing towards a lack of enforcement and a lack of, I just don't give a rat's, I'm gonna do what I need to do. We as a city need to come back to, let's follow the rules and let's go straight. And that goes everything from outdoor dining to cars on the road, to bicyclists run on the wrong way, on a wrong street, to motorcycles on the greenway, to carts where they don't belong, to impassable sidewalks and streets, to telling me how we can't have it open at the 9/11 park cannot be open due to security concerns, and every day there's buses and trucks on Western stop. So, yeah, we need lots of enforcement. And on that, we need more in the budget for it.
There you go.
Unless we have to circle back to.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so with that, we're gonna move along, because it's already been a fantastic, thank you, by the way, for always showing up. We're gonna go into our public session. We do have comments from the public, which is 2 minutes each. And then we actually have SBS who's here as kind of a member of the public, but a partner agency who will speak as well. So let me go back into our spreadsheet for who's speaking from the public session, and we'll go from there.
So SBS go?
Yeah, let's get SBS go. And then we will go to, after SBS, I have a statement to read from a longtime Tribeca resident about proximity and opposition to cannabis dispensaries, but I think we've covered that. So I think, Marguerite, we've got your comments online because we also spoke about it with our assembly member today and our council member. And so, yeah, let's welcome. And this is Jesse, right? Ziegler from the Small Business Services. You're a hot topic these days of being a board one. So welcome, and
Yes,
the floor is yours.
I told Zach I was gonna stick my mouth, or my lion's mouth on it.
Happy to have you. Rare.
No, seriously, thank you all for having me. Appreciate being here.
Can you speak up, please?
Yeah, I'm sorry, my daughter actually, I'm just gonna have time to do this. My daughter got me sick last week. I'm still getting over it.
We're all.
I'm already popular. All right, sorry. So again, my name is Jesse Ziegler. I am the Deputy Director of Intergovernmental Affairs and Small Business Services. I came here tonight to tell you about all the wonderful things that we're doing and to invite you to our upcoming expo. So to run through it. For those of you who don't know, Small Business Services, we're here to unlock economic potential and create economic security for New Yorkers by connecting them to good jobs, stronger businesses, sorry, and building thriving neighborhoods through all 5 boroughs. SPS works every day to make New York City the most desirable place to start, operate, and grow a business. Our agency provides solid foundation for entrepreneurs looking to start and grow. From in-person and online education at one of our 7 business solution centers to free legal assistance for businesses assigning up new commercial leases, to offering resume help and interview prep for job seekers at one of our 18 Workforce One centers. SBS is here to meet the needs of our small business community and New Yorkers alike. Last year alone, we established a group of ambitious goals. Our Business Express Service Team, or BEST, which is out there cutting red tape, guiding businesses through the myriad of government regulations that they need to navigate, open and operate. We served thousands last year and saved them millions. We saved millions for small businesses by codifying Mayor Adams' Executive Order 2, which we also call Small Business Forward, which establishes first-time warnings, cure periods, and removes outdated regulations that impact mom and pop stores. And my favorite ones had to do with steam whistles and when and how to operate. So that's down. We assisted more than 1,900 certified minority and women business enterprises, or MWBEs, win city contracts, a record total. And we organized the largest annual procurement fair last year, connecting 1,200 MWBEs with over 90 city agencies, private firms, and resource providers at our Barclays Center. That was a great event. A lot of people came out for that. I was probably part of it. And one of our bigger achievements was the $85 million Opportunity Fund, where we offered low-interest loans to small business entrepreneurs so that they can make real lasting investments in their scaling up. One of my favorite stories is a coffee shop called Brew, and they acquired a loan from the Opportunity Fund, and they used it to build a rotisserie in the Bronx. And they're creating more jobs, creating more opportunity and expanding. And the coffee is very good. And we also distributed $13 million in grants to our neighborhoods, channeling more funds under the commercial corridors. As I mentioned before, 7 business solution centers. We're out there expanding capacity. We served nearly 90,000 job seekers last year, and we want to serve more people coming our way. We also incorporated the Office of Nightlife into our portfolio. The mayor appointed our new executive director for that, Jeffrey Garcia, who's out and about. Great Instagram, if you ever follow him, Office of Nightlife. They have 2 great programs called Cure and Mend. Cure is a reform of the old March program, and Mend is mediation. So when there's complaints and you have business, we have people come to the table together. To close it all out, it's been a busy 2 years, and I wanted to invite everybody here to our Small Business Month Expo. On Wednesday, May 29th, we will be relocating our offices to Pier 36 at 299 South Street, where we'll be basically moving our entire office and operations there. Everybody at SBS will be on hand.
May 29th?
Yes, May 29th, and I've actually brought a QR code for if anybody wants to sign up for it, tickets are free, obviously.
You can email that to us or post it in social media.
Absolutely.
Anytime.
Access, so people showing up their businesses, entrepreneurs, industries, boroughs, access to hundreds of free city programs, agencies, partner resources, help with faster city permits and licenses, financing, legal assistance, also on the spot hiring of workers, and contracts with NYC through our MWB Borough Forum, free consultations, workshops, networks. That is it for me. I am ready.
We know your MEND program. The only thing I'm gonna say is it needs a lot of improvement. We actually had a board member, when it first came out, try and work to pilot community concerns, stakeholder and constituent concerns with a bar and restaurant. And when I say that nothing got done, that would be actually more than something that got done. So we don't have a great faith in the MEND system. We understand the greater power that MEND has been given with new things from the state in terms of outdoor dining, to-go liquor, and all the other things that come to it. We would like to see some real teeth or advocacy or work being done by MEND to address community concerns other than having the stakeholder air their concerns and having the business say, oh, that's nice. But that's exactly what we got, and there were no changes. So I tell you this with all due hope that as we look forward and we have so many things that we want to open, that we can have a better system that works without having to call law enforcement to make things work. Because I'd rather have law enforcement dealing with crime than dealing with noise complaints.
Yes.
It's my one comment for SBS. Anybody else have anything for SBS?
Did you say the Expos at Pier 39?
36.
36.
36.
It's, 299 South Street.
Yeah, it's just north of the Brooklyn Bridge.
Time?
That, I can actually-
9 to 3.
But we have flyers up front. I dropped a bunch of.
Thanks.
Do you have public, nonprofit support for public spaces in neighborhoods that are environmental justice priority?
I do not know, but I can give you my card and I can find out.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
I'm sort of curious, I think very recently, as of today, you sent around something that was indicating that our area has some of the highest number of empty storefronts we've ever seen. I'm just curious from the perspective of SBS, representing, why is that in this particular neighborhood from your perspective, from the agency?
So it's a problem that we're studying. I mean, we're looking at, we have data. We just sat down and discussed with city council a couple of weeks back. There was a hearing on it. Transcripts available. Me personally, kind of outside of my own wheelhouse understanding, but I can get back to you.
I'd be curious where SBS stands on it, because, yeah, we're already aware of that council meeting, but there's never a why this is happening. I would think your agency would be the place that might be analyzing more than others.
Absolutely. Remember, yeah, look, we're studying this.
Terrific, thanks a lot.
Okay, it's just Zach and then Justine.
As you're looking at it, we would welcome the commissioner to come out and walk a corridor down here to, enhance your study with some on the ground work. So if he wants to come down, we welcome him to come down, and we'll pick a corridor and we'll walk around with him.
Commissioner Kim is very active and very engaged. I know that he's visited, I think, every community district so far, in the last couple of years, Well, he's done corridor tours.
We would be delighted to do a corridor tour in Lower Manhattan, especially with the former SBS guy. So we already have somebody who speaks the inside language.
Well, Zach definitely has my number.
Justine?
And a comment was just gonna be, is things to look at is why is there so many empty storefronts? Is rent is just becoming skyrocketing, even for the stores.
Right, I mean, I'm not gonna.
No, you're not.
I'm just looking for their.
I mean, but that would be to me, that could be one reason. And then what else? But, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely influence factors.
What was that?
Yeah.
Influence.
I think what Justine is saying is also a conversation that Alice and I have had back and forth, because my comment is always boots on the ground provide people in stores. And where Community Board One in particular has lost boots on the ground twofold. One, affordable housing, affordable housing, affordable housing. People who don't leave on the weekends, people who are here and enjoy New York City and stay because they're not going to second and third and fourth homes. One. And two, in the return to work to a 3 or 4 day work week, automatically in all the government offices and all the corporations reduce the number of boots on the ground during the week. And a lot of the small businesses relied on the businesses during the day and then stayed open a little bit later to support the residential community. So with being doubly hit, we see it in other ways, street traffic, crime. I mean.
Yeah, this is a very unique community.
We think we're the best.
Yeah.
Okay. All righty. Well, thank you very much. Don't be a stranger, please. I'm going to welcome you to go home and feel better.
Thank you. I'm not actively. I would not have come.
Okay, just.
But yeah, I do have cards that have less material.
Appreciate
it so much. Appreciate it.
And I just need to double check with Mimi and the office team. I do not see people from the public who have signed up to speak unless I'm looking at the wrong.
I haven't seen it either.
So with that note in mind, we're gonna end the public session, start the public hearing, 7:27. Seeing nobody who has signed up for the public. Onesh, do you have your hand up back there?
No, I said you can do that.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no one signed up for the public hearing, which is on the City of Yes affordable housing. But don't worry, it'll come back again for another public hearing. We're gonna close the public hearing at 7:28 and go into the other elected representatives. I see online we have, I'll go in order of how we have them. So we have Tevin from Congressman Goldman's office. We have Dan, who's in the room, from Senator Kavanaugh. I think Tracy sent the report for Assemblymember Glick. I don't know if she's still online. We have Robin from the mayor's office. We have Andrew Chang from the borough president's office, and then we have Evelyn from the controller's office. So with all of that notes in mind, hi. Tevin, take it away.
Hi, CB1. I apologize. I can't be there in person. This is Tevin Williams, Director of Community and External Affairs for Congressman Goldman. I really just want to highlight one last thing before we start May, and that's the Congressional Art Competition. You can find more information about that online. We're still looking for high school students that would like to submit something to the congressman for the Congressional Art Competition. The winner gets their art displayed in the Capitol for 1 full year. So please, please, please have somebody, if you know them, to send in a submission. I have nothing else to say, but keep up the great work, CB1, and it's always a great time working with all of you. That's all.
Awesome. Tevin, anybody have any questions for Tevin or Congressman Goldman? Hearing none in the room, seeing none online. Thank you, Tevin. Have a great night.
Thank you. You too.
Dan, you're up.
Community Board 1, good to see you all tonight. I know you all have a long one, but it started late, so Assemblymember Lee covered most of the housing stuff, but I did want to highlight some of the capital allocations that Brian fought for and was able to get. And like the Assemblymember was saying, the housing package in the budget is robust, although it doesn't include everything that the senator fought for. So just as a prelude, but we did get $1.02 billion in capital investments and more than 500 million in other expenditures for housing and related services benefiting renters, homeowners, homeless New Yorkers. This is a 1-pager that is actually should be like an 80-pager, so feel free to reach out for details about these allocations. But $80 million to preserve Mitchell-Lama properties, 40 million for home repairs due to flood damages, including retrofits for flood mitigation improvements, 40 million to prevent homeowners from losing their homes by assisting with loan modifications, legal representation and homeownership counseling, and then 50 million for legal representation for tenants facing eviction. So those were some of the big ones. Again, huge subject and really happy to talk about it more later and in depth. You all have my information, hopefully. And other than that, yeah, we're still working on getting an independent monitor for the jail. Like the Assemblymember was saying, that is, those negotiations are happening and I'm feeling good about it, but there's still some work to be done for sure. And along with congestion pricing, might as well just head this up. The senator worked with the Assemblymember to write the MTA a letter with policy recs, which were numerous. It was a very long letter that we worked on. Other than that, I will let you all get on with your meeting. Appreciate you all.
I have a question for you. So April, last week was the deadline for additional funding for 5 World Trade. I don't know if I don't know if that's where you're going, but that's where I was. I don't know if anything had passed or if any new monies had materialized or any other discussions had been fruitful from that. But what we'd like is an update from Senator Kavanaugh's office, because we've heard nothing from ESD or LMTC or anyone else. We'd like a final update on if there's been any changes, what is the status of the project, and when we can hopefully see a shovel hit the ground and more affordable housing in the neighborhood.
Great, yeah, noted.
Justine?
So my question is, in the scheme of all the bills that were passed, where did the Battery Park City related bills fall? Did they get pushed forward or where are they?
Depends on which one. And we're still getting together our bills that are priority and still engaging with the community about that. So you and I should talk. I know that we talked briefly about the the rent abatement bill.
The rent abatement, I think,
Being a priority?
Yeah.
And I passed that on to our legislative team as a priority. The representation on the board was the other one, and I'm not sure where that ended up, but I can confirm.
The only other thing I'm gonna tag on for Battery Park City is with the extension of the land lease.
Yes.
We discovered that there was not an extension that didn't necessarily go with the buildings the way we understood it to be, that the individual buildings are all negotiating out separately. While that in general may sound like an interesting and fine idea, what it does put in jeopardy is the fact that the Battery Park City Authority, under its former leadership, assured us there'd be no more conversions to luxury condos. And that the rentals were the rentals. We've already seen a change in that with one rental building since that announcement going co-op. But with the extension of the land lease, also my understanding, and please, I would really like to be proved wrong, is that that restriction that prevented the rental buildings from going condo is now gone.
That between the state and.
So that's what we need some information on.
Yeah, if you can follow up and show me that provision.
I actually asked if it was still in place and they said no, because there was an extension.
Okay.
Because you're not within X number of years of the end of the lease anymore. So that's what we need clarity on.
Yeah,
And I haven't seen any clarity come through. We would appreciate
No, I
it.
was not aware of that, so that's good for me to know.
That is because.
I'd be happy to be wrong on that.
Yeah, I hope.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions for Senator Kavanaugh? Yes, Morgan.
Just a follow-up. What, and Assembly Member Lee was saying, she said that she was sponsoring a bill in the Assembly regarding congestion pricing, but there were no sponsors in the Senate. So Senator Kavanaugh considered joining, sponsoring such a bill in the Senate.
I haven't talked to him about it, and I can't speak to that right now. I have spoken to him about, the things that he wants to stand up for, his different policy recs, but I do understand the need to carry it to the Senate. So that's something that, if the constituents are interested in, I can tell them, for sure.
I think it sounds like people are interested.
Sure does.
All right.
They were interested, right?
No other questions. I want to say thank you very much, Dan. Thank you for always showing. Let's move into Tracy. I see you online. Hi, Tracy.
Hi there, can you hear me okay?
Very well, thank you.
Well, since I'm here on behalf of Assemblymember Glick, and I've been taking notes on what her colleagues have already reported, so it took a lot off my list. She also had a lot of frustration with some of the things on the housing part of the budget that she fought for and fought against, and was outvoted. So on some of those, so a few things that are positives that she'd like to highlight are we were able to maintain 400 million for the Clean Water Infrastructure Act, and which will help improve storm fund. We also were able to secure a total of 500. Oh, sure. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that, everybody. Okay, so I was just highlighting some budget items that were environmental related. Namely 500 million for the Clean Water Infrastructure Act to improve lead service lines, storm resiliency, things like that. The Assembly member was also a longtime co-sponsor of Sammy's Law, so was really pleased that it was included in the budget that would allow the city to lower speed limits. And then I just wanted to say one thing on lifting of the FAR cap, which she was very opposed to, that it's our understanding that the piece of the budget pertaining to that does prohibit the cap to be, it is not allowed to, I'm sorry, I'm losing track of my notes. The cap cannot be lifted in historical districts or any buildings that includes a loft unit. So that at least is some protection that she will continue to keep an eye on. And then finally, she does have a bill that would allow the FAR cap to be lifted for converting office buildings into residential that would require 40% affordable units. it hasn't gotten much traction, but she feels strongly that we should be requiring affordable units. And then the last thing I'd say is that we have a shred event this week, Thursday morning. A little further north of you in the West Village on Greenwich Avenue at 12th Street.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody have any questions for Deborah? Seeing none in the room, Tracy, thank you so much. We'll move on to Robin. I know Robin Forst was here.
I am here.
Hi, Robin.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Beautiful day to be in a meeting, not really, but it's beautiful day and we're all enjoying this. Not a lot, but a fair amount has been said already tonight about the City of Yes for housing opportunity. I think you all know that this proposal, which is a centerpiece of the mayor's wish to increase housing throughout the city, was presented and briefed to community boards and borough presidents for review and will ultimately require the approval of the city council. And that is probably not going to happen till much later this year. The current vacancy rate in the city, we've all heard it in the news, is 1.4%. It is a really terrible situation. And that a lot of what is behind this proposal is the idea of creating a little more housing in every neighborhood. Understanding that there are issues in each neighborhood, we will look forward to presenting that across the city. The other thing I wanted to mention just quickly is as we confront hate all around us, the mayor announced the release of a program which is teaching about hate crimes and their impacts. This is being offered collaboratively by the Department of Education and the Office to Prevent Hate Crimes in the city. This will be targeted to children in grades 6 through 12 and will also be available as a public resource online. We'll get you that information. I think historically teaching people what is involved through learning hopefully will create a more tolerant society. And with that, I'm happy to take questions. I know you have a very big agenda and I wanted to be brief.
Love that, appreciate that. Anybody in the room have questions? Okay, we'll start with Eric and then go to Rosa.
Eric, you've been very chatty tonight.
Yes. On the change lanes, what's the latest about the proposed homeless shelter on Beacon Street?
It's my understanding that DHS is coming to the community board on the 15th of May. Is that correct?
It is correct that they are specifically coming about 105 Washington with CUCS. We would really still like an update on Beekman and the office, and we have asked and there has not been one. So
okay, I will follow up on that tomorrow and see if there's anything that I can produce for you. You've not heard anything since the last.
Correct.
Okay, I will follow up with you on that, Tammy and Zach.
Thank you, that'd be great. All right, anybody else? Oh, Rosa, hi, sorry.
Hi. Just following up on that, actually, we are super concerned about the fact that it is directly across the street. The proposed location is directly across the street from a 3K through 8 school.
Yes.
So that is a huge concern for us. I have to press for 1% of the city budget funding for parks and public spaces in our community. Would love to hear if we're able to move closer to that happening. Wondering about the illegal cannabis subject, which we had touched on earlier, and about how we can speed up the closure of the shops. And the last thing is mental health beds. And I would really love to know what progress is being made toward housing people who are both unhoused but also have severe mental health considerations. And if there is nothing, as Susan Cole just muttered under her breath, that we'd like to know how we can get something. Because I think that's an issue that's seriously affecting our community.
Okay, the Beekman Shelter, I think everybody is aware of the location and the proximity to the school. I think that's a very big issue within the community, and that's something that I'm sure will be amplified at any public session. So I think everybody is aware of that, and rightfully, there are concerns about it. And that's all I will really say about that. The 1% for parks, I would suggest that you reach out to your city council member. The city council and the administration will be, what's the word? Negotiating the budget for the coming weeks. And both sides have a seat at the table. And, you have to push where you can. I think there's an appreciation for the importance of parks in the city. And I hope that personally, I hope that we are able to reach that goal. The cannabis situation, I'm sure you've heard that there was approval in the state budget at the request of the mayor to try to get the city to have more power over the shuttering of illegal smoke shops. And that, in fact, was approved. And there are currently, I don't know the number, but they've started training NYPD personnel and kind of, this is my word, I don't know if it's the right word, but deputize them to be able to shutter the illegal stores.
Robin,
Yeah,
I think what we learned from our experience with the illegal shops, if you can help get 311 to have a place that they can be reported that will get to the sheriff, that's going to be the most expedient way for to help the public, to help NYPD, to help the New York sheriffs.
I hear what you're saying, Tammy. I also think that as this enforcement becomes more local, like at the precinct level, there will be more opportunities to have a dialogue with the enforcers. But I hear what you're saying, and I've heard that before, and I actually need to follow up with somebody from the precinct council for the 6th precinct. They had a workaround on the 311 in the short term, but I know that that's an issue, and I will share that with you once I am reminded of it. And mental health beds, I have nothing that I can add except to say that it is a critical need, and the mental health situation persists in New York City. And I hope that we're able to come up with good solutions that work for everybody involved. So that's it.
Awesome. Thank you very, very much, Robin. We're going to move on to Evelyn from the Controller's Office. She's next. Evelyn, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. Thank you once again for the opportunity to address the board tonight. There are a couple of things that I want to present on. The first is a an update on our housing campaign, Homes Now, Homes for Generations, which was picked up by the New York City Council's preliminary budget response. This campaign is calling for $2 billion in capital funds over the next 4 years to invest in the construction and preservation of permanently affordable housing, specifically through 2 of HPD's program, the Open Door and the Neighborhood Pillars program. We have a conversation with community boards happening in the first week of May, and I'm happy to see that Community Board 1 already signed up. And during that conversation, we are aiming at, presenting our ideas and also getting feedback from the community boards. The second thing that I want to mention tonight is that we have launched a new dashboard, is the Charting Homelessness in New York City dashboard. This dashboard will track the New York City shelter population. It will be broken down by family type, age, race, and factors leading to homelessness, such as eviction filings and shelter exits with vouchers. This dashboard will automatically update at regular intervals and will comprise information as we get it from the city databases. And the last item is we have a panel on May 22nd from 5 to 7 p.m. at Brooklyn Borough Hall on Brown versus Board, 70 years later. And this will be a discussion on the state of integration in New York City public schools. You are all invited, and thank you again for allowing me to speak tonight.
Fantastic. Does anybody have any questions for the controller? Yes, Andrea.
I mean, this homeless dashboard is a great idea. Can we do one for like maybe mental health beds?
Yeah.
How many are available? Are you putting any online?
Evelyn, did you hear what she asked?
Do we have a dashboard tracking mental health?
Yes.
What are the services available? I think the governor and the mayor had announced like they're gonna put more beds online. What's the status of that, just so that we know that something's going on to help the people who are in the streets in crisis and who need to be helped and don't belong to shelter, but need more sense of help. It would be nice for the community to know that things are available to them and, the resources that are available to be directed to.
All right. I don't have information on that, but I'm more than happy to bring that feedback to the office.
Thank you. That'd be amazing.
Thank you.
Seeing no other hands in the room, Evelyn, thank you for joining us this evening, and we look forward to seeing you in May and back for the full board again. All right, Andrew Chang, you're going to take us home. Last rep, and then we hit our business session. So it all sits on you, my friend.
We're here from Manborough President's Office. One, as most of y'all, or some of y'all may know, our former Director of Community Affairs left. She's the new Manhattan Borough Commissioner for the Parks Department, Tricia. So Eric Cueto, our Deputy Director, is now the acting Community Affairs Director for NAPO. Secondly, community application decisions. We hope to make announcements soon. I believe we said late April, early May. So early May. Regarding the most recent state budget, we're happy that a new tax program, 485X, was created. We're happy with the passage of Sammy's Law regarding the lowering the speed limits below 25 miles per hour. And we're happy that hate crimes laws, the laws regarding hate crimes were expanded to include several new offenses. But we're still advocating that the state electeds work to classify graffiti and swatting bomb threats as hate crimes. So that's still a work in progress. And then we wrote a letter to the MTA asking for signage to tell the public that there are accessible restrooms in certain subway stations.
That's a good
So that the public knows. And then that there should be pre-recorded announcements at the trains that, hey, this station has a publicly accessible restroom. And we are always looking for volunteers to help with our events we also work with Bowery Mission and the West Side Campaign Against Hunger to pack meals and food. So if you want to volunteer with us, sign up on the website. That's where I'll put there. Yeah.
Desi.
Hey there. Did I hear you say that you're looking to classify graffiti as a hate crime?
Yeah, I mean, graffiti, that includes, say, for example, a Nazi German style swastika.
Like in a graffiti style?
Yes, that's like, that's a scrawl on a building or a storefront.
All right, that just makes me a little nervous, yeah.
That type of graffiti, not like just,
Oh,
How will you define?
yeah.
Well, the swastika, I think, would be an easy fall.
Sorry. There's no crosstalk in the room. Desi said something, she has concerns. Certainly be in touch.
Yeah.
Okay. Mark.
Yeah, I agree, that is so subjective, that I could see getting out of control. I mean, River to the Sea, is that a hate crime? And where it's gonna end, who's gonna make these decisions? I think we should ditch that plan.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
maybe we should take that up.
All right, stop.
I'll bring that feedback to our director of policy.
It's so.
Okay. That could be a topic for quality of life. We'll talk to Pat, we'll talk to Mariama when they're back in the room. All right, anything else? Nope.
I wanna wish the borough president a happy birthday.
Oh, that's right.
Happy birthday. It's your birthday, what are you party for him?
Yes, it's his birthday today. You can look up his age on Wikipedia. He's still young, relatively young.
So you updated the Wikipedia already?
It automatically.
Running. What? Awesome. Technology. All righty, well, happy birthday to our borough president. I think that is perfect to take us home and close out all of the public hearing, public sessions. And we're gonna call for the adoption. Well, I need somebody to make a motion to call for the
I
adoption.
call for the adoption of the minutes.
Second.
Roll call. Oh, great. Yes, 1 second. Hang on. And Maruso.
Yes.
Thank you. Blank.
Yes.
Thank you. Brown Kennedy.
Kennedy, yes.
Thank you. Cameron.
Sheila.
Cassell.
We're still on the system video.
Chang.
Shane, yes.
Thank you. Chapman.
Chapman, yes.
Thank you. Cole.
Yes.
Thank you. Corman.
Corman, yes.
Thank you. Kucha.
Lucia, yes.
Thank you. Curtis.
Curtis, yes.
Thank you. Airman.
Yes.
Thank you. Flores.
Flores, yes.
Thank you. Flynn, yes. Forsberg. Friedman. Broman.
Yes.
Thank you. Galloway.
Galloway, yes.
Thank you. Goldstein.
Yes.
Goodkind.
Yes.
She's online. Jill, you gotta be unmuted and oral on your vote. And we have to see you.
I hear her very low.
I very much almost hear you.
And I see.
Yes, good says yes.
Heard that. Okay, thank you. Joyce.
Oh.
Jude. Thank you. Kay.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you. Canal. Capel. Lerner.
Yes.
Thank you. Lynn. Lyon.
Yes.
Thank you. Meltzer. Yes. Thank you. Minsley.
Minsley, yes.
Thank you. Portia Corey.
Yes.
Thank you. Robinson.
Robinson, yes.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Rossi.
Rossi, yes.
Thank you. Shear.
Yes.
Thank you. Star.
Sorry, yes.
Thank you. Verisong.
Yes.
Thank you. Thompson.
Thompson, yes.
Thank you. Townley. You.
Yes.
Thank you. Filter.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, everybody, no noises from your phones. I'm gonna start getting extra grouchy about sounds. It's been weird.
Oh, she giving her the.
I'm trying out a new persona.
It's working.
Colin's not here, so Mimi's now gone.
It's not here. I'm very upset about it.
All right, so with that done, we've already done our elected officials. Mariana is not here for the treasurer's report. We do have our treasurer's report. Lucy?
Here I am again. Last month I had the pleasure. You guys didn't receive the report by email. Well, let me make this as short as quick as possible. $822 in office supplies, $1,000 in board meeting and district cabinet meeting food, $17 cleaning supplies. It's $1,400 in Airtable and GoDaddy for the newsletter, $99 part of a laptop for the chairperson, $259 for headsets for the staff, $287 staff traveling expenses, $426 coverage for board meetings, $54,000 in change for staff salaries, $3,000 for George, the land use consultant, and $3,000 for part of a laptop. Any questions?
Part of a laptop.
Part,
Top.
payment.
Okay.
Payment of a laptop. See you in 3 months.
All right, a laptop. All righty, let's move on there. Zach, you're up.
Okay.
You got 30
next slide.
seconds.
We'll go quick. So Councilmember Marte already covered 7 North Moore. He backed up, the board's resolution there. And that will not be disposed of at this time. Next slide. Our state elected reps covered the state budget passage. And city covered and Chris covered, the executive budget, announcement. The budget's now $111.6 billion, up $2.2 billion from the preliminary budget. One local item that was mentioned was $1 billion more for borough-based jails. That's now up to 16 billion from 15 from the preliminary budget earlier this year. And so the budget gets settled on the 30th of June. Right now, they will be going to, each of the agencies will be going to the council and having their executive budget hearings. So if there is anything in particular that you are interested or want to push, those are the opportunities to speak about or follow budget items at those city council hearings. Again, June 30th is when that's finalized. But those budget hearings are going to be happening in May, usually start early May. Open dining, that has started. So some of the other community boards have started to get applications already for open dining. We haven't gotten any yet. DOT has created a portal for us to view applications. We don't have access to the portal yet, and community boards don't have access to the portal yet. And it's supposed to be a two-way portal where we can submit responses into the portal. That won't happen yet either, so we'll actually have to do all this kind of manually through email, where they're going to email applications to us, and then the board will have to email our responses back. So it's going to be a heavy, labor intensive for a while. We should expect a influx of these. I don't know if it'll be this month, but there'll be some this month. It depends on when our businesses start applying and how fast DOT processes them, but they will come at some point pretty quickly, because they have to get all this done by fall.
Which committee are they going to?
That
Licensing.
That would go licensing.
Yes, where?
So far though, I mean, there's only 5 in the pipeline. So far.
But
for 1 month.
we have some ideas on limits on what we want to do in terms of hours.
Keep going. We don't have any yet. There's 5 that have been started for community board 1.
Mark has his hand up.
Mark can wait until he's done with his. Sorry, Mark, you can wait until Zach's done with this whole
Oh,
report.
almost done, almost done. Working on creating better access to community board resolutions for, all of us, board members and the public. We have an account with, Airtable. As you heard in the, budget, that's our yearly account for that. There's another board that put all of their resolutions on Airtable and has put those on the website. And that has been very successful, so we're going to be working with Beta NYC, who we were supporting with some office space for a few months while they're renovating this office. We're gonna be working with Beta NYC to get our resolutions up into Airtable and onto the website. So that'll be a project for this summer. Next slide. And the Falcon at 55 Water Street, we are still waiting for the hatchlings. Fun to keep track of it once in a while, to have a tab open for that. That's it for me.
Any questions for Zach?
Mark.
Mark, and then Jen.
Four. Four eggs.
Good question. The open dining,
Mm-hmm.
the structures that are existing or going to be built. We had a windstorm like a couple of weeks ago, in the news, some of these, not in our district, but some of them just blew apart. Where is the Department of Buildings in monitoring or regulations or?
We will be happy to send you the link.
What's going on?
We'll send you the link. It's all under DOT.
Yeah.
We'll send you the link.
Buildings doesn't have any.
So-
DOT.
So I remember we talked about this a while back. So DOT is in charge of
Structural integrity.
supervising or checking or approving the structural integrity of these structures.
Yes.
Not the Department of Buildings.
Correct.
Correct.
That is asinine.
Well.
Jeff, we got it. Jeff?
I have two questions. One follow-up.
You can't fill a pothole.
With Mark's question. What is the nature of the community board's input on these outdoor diners? Will we be doing resolutions, and is it
Yes.
similar to what SLA does, and somebody listens to us and does whatever?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Yes, we're doing resolutions. There are three opportunities: a sidewalk cafe, a roadbed, or the combo. So depending on when they come, that's the three that you get. We can talk about many different things like we always have with them. But it goes to licensing, so it can be matched with their liquor license.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second question was on the community board resolutions being online. I'm not familiar with Airtable or whatever it was that you were describing, but I'm assuming that would make them searchable, so if we want,
Correct.
resiliency or whatever, we can easily find whatever we said. And how far back in time are you planning to go in terms of?
It depends on bandwidth. I mean, my goal, if I had my druthers, I want a separate one, just, a separate intern who would just work on landmarks, because that's one of the ones that always looks back in the past and the past and the past. So we could get that updated. I'm hoping that if Bruce has bandwidth, he'll work with an intern on that. That's, so we can, and Alice, of course,
Yeah.
part and parcel to ensuring that the historical things are there. For current, what we want to do is change how we work from today forward and then start backdating. So if I have my choice, gosh almighty, I'd love to go back to.
How far back in time does our website currently go? It goes
2020.
Only
1988.
No, if I could not find stuff from 2016 on there, trust me, you look. It's hard.
Periodically, I've downloaded them, so if you need the PDFs of ancient times.
Onesh, please take a look. For some reason, Paul is sharing.
Paul, can you?
I would want to stop that. Oh, no, Brian.
Resolutions are archived in a separate location as well, right?
Yeah. All right.
Can I?
Okay.
Oh, I have something.
Hold on. Yeah, then we'll come around and then we're done. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask real quick, did they give you a timeline on when to expect the portal?
No, they haven't given us that. But they have been emailing applications to other community boards in Manhattan.
I'm gonna jump in on this. It's something I've been asking for the times. I'm delighted it's picked up on for this idea of having all of our records accessible to us. That said, for somebody who spends a great deal of time on our website currently looking for resolutions and the like, it is available to us. And I just want to quickly say that the way to do this is you go into archives on our website and you put in the name of what you are thinking about. So if it's the Northwest Battery Park City plans, it will take you a very long time, hence why we want this process, but you can get the information. On landmarking issues, which is something I do follow, you put in One Wall Street and it will eventually come up. So I just don't want people to assume that you cannot do that. It is there on our website. It is under archives. It will never come up under resolution. It will come under archives and then it will show you a resolution and then you have to open it. So I just want to share that with you. It's not, you know, it's not impossible, but it will be much better soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and with that, let's go to the next slide.
Oh, just a reminder, transportation meeting is tomorrow and Battery Park City is Thursday. Thanks.
Sir?
Hopefully not
Yeah. No worries. So, while Onej is working on the slides, it gives me an opportunity to say, if you have really great organizational skills, you're somewhat tech savvy, and you would like to help, AKA, and take over our newsletter, now is the time to volunteer. If you have somebody who can volunteer their time, who would like to donate some time and help us get some more information out, please email the office. Mimi needs help.
Yeah, I can't. It's just.
Okay. All right, so welcome to the chair.
No, not a volunteer. Into a PACE intern or maybe a BNCC
Well,
intern or any of our.
We can, but to pay an intern to do that year long is not really what we are looking to staff up the office a little bit more. But just for that role, if we can have a volunteer do it, that would be great.
It's like 4 hours a week.
Yeah, which is crazy.
I mean, I can't do it.
She's got a lot of the stuff.
All right, what about a high school student, maybe getting credit through like their school on some type of extra project?
Email me to the office ideas. Okay, and then we'll take it from there. So April was a busy month. I want to say, kind of crazy with the 2 holidays. Yes, I did the eclipse, making lemons out of lemonades. I was over by Wagner Park. It was lovely, but not a lot of trees in my way. Coming out of the city at night and along in the neighborhood, it's beautiful. So it's a lot of fun. I went to the LMCC 50th anniversary event. I attended a 105 Washington Street virtual that started and stopped real quick, which is why I come to the community board, which will be a great thing. And Chinatown Connections came back to the community boards with a follow-up for their traffic study. So we just need to get them some information to ensure that the traffic study will be done, and not impacted, because they can't actually try and do a study while the Trump trial days are. So it's really interesting taking a look. Alice and I met with Howard Hughes, listening to some updates for Pier 17. They're looking to potentially enclose the rooftop in the winter to make it a temporary enclosure, to trial it, and they did get approval from LPC internally. So that we should see coming in the winter. We had a meeting with Zach and I and Betty with the Deliverista, about the Deliverista kiosk with the mayor's office after Landmarks approved it. That was an interesting one. We will see what happens. Next slide. No, I got nothing to say on that yet. Because there's nothing to say. We just brought out we talked about our concerns, and Alice brought up, kind of how we got to where we got. So potentially, hopefully the dialogue is still there. I thought it was a great meeting.
Yeah.
So this is what I was at yesterday. So congratulations to the West Side. Woo! 2024, we will have the Macy's fireworks on the West Side this year. So then they will be a little further north As you can tell, it'll be between 14th and 34th Streets. But that's something to know. It was announced today and I thought it was a fun thing to share. Next slide. How often do rules change in New York City? When you talk about the rules, literally, they change weekly. You can see from the nice screen grab that I took off of what the public hearings are coming up and where the proposed open rules are. If you've never signed up, you should sign up. I really think you should sign up because it's something that if it's important to you, you get to know what's going on. Next slide. I think everybody kind of remembers when Bloomberg was talking about sugar and warnings and labels. Guess what? Here we are today. And in the month of May, this is finally going to become a rulemaking with food and service establishments warning consumers about menu items containing high amounts of sugar. This is not for us to negotiate. We are not going down this road. But if you would like to provide public comment, you can be on the record and this is how you do it. There are times when we will be commenting on things and taking into committee on rule changes. But rule changes has a far shorter time and determination on it. So we can't do everything. And I learned from looking at the slides, there's no less than half a dozen to a dozen changes made a month. So if it's something that's really important, please sign up, follow the rule changing, bring it to the community board the minute you see it. Otherwise, feel free, share it with your friends and neighbors. Next slide. Take photos and share. This is beautiful from actually standing in Pump House Park over by Brookfield, looking up at the towers under beautiful cherry blossom trees. If you're out and about, please send us photos. We use them in our newsletter. We use them here. Go back one. Yeah.
I will send photos. I have a very cute one of me and Alvin Bragg.
Oh,
his wife was a producer on The Wiz, and I went to the opening, and I had a little chit chat with him about Community Board One.
Nice.
Yes. Also, I don't know if it went to everybody. Did you guys see the clip that I sent from John Oliver?
No.
He mentions the deliveristas in his sketch.
That issue?
Yes.
That's not a good thing.
You know what? The deliveries are mentioned everywhere. There are amazing charging station opportunities, rollouts going many places in the city. Listen, there are lots of great ideas. Let's just make sure we get something and see if you one that makes sense. And a public restaurant. And a public restaurant.
But did I don't know, did I do that right? Did everybody get it or not?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
But that's okay, because we can't actually be sending things around to the full board without approval.
Oh, yeah. Well, guys, I thought I sent it to, oh, well, all right.
An email did go out today, and our condolences to Pat Moore.
Yes.
Pat's mom passed. As many of you know, she's been the sole provider and caregiver for
Yes.
way longer than, but she'll be back next month. So our prayers and condolences to Pat and her sister and her nephew, and we will see her next month.
Also, Una Perkins has passed away.
Yes.
And there's an upcoming funeral, right?
Friday.
This week, Friday, that has been passed around through the committee board.
Right.
Former.
He was a former board member and one of the founders of the African Girl. So enrolled in that. Yeah. Alrighty. So on for, I hope everybody had a nice Easter, a lovely Passover. And thank you to our committee for bringing in food tonight. So thank you very, very much. And with that, let's get it going to cannabis resolutions next. Okay, we have, I think we can take all four of the cannabis, all three of the cannabis resolutions. I would take them all together, actually.
Yeah, because
It's all together. So does
Yeah.
anybody have any questions on the resolutions on the agenda labeled 1, 2, 3, or 4? Which is 177 Duane, the 3 for Soho Dispensary, the public comment on the adult use, or the temporary beer and wine license with Taste of Tribeca.
The old.
They're, all the cannabis are denials in terms of the applications. The public comment is about the distancing from playgrounds and schools and houses of worship, and the beer and cider is an approval.
For a taste of.
For taste of cider.
These are not on the website today. I looked on the website.
I was looking at it.
Downloaded everything this morning.
Oh, they changed actually, granted it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had it loaded,
They're
and
the
then
sense
when
of-
I reloaded it later in the day, there were more. So you, yeah, they weren't all there.
So,
They were there today.
okay, so again, we should be able to improve some of that. Mark, you had a question?
I have a question. I support all the resolutions, but, I'm wondering, why was 139 Fulton Street, within 500 feet of the school, but when we had 88 Fulton Street, it wasn't?
All of those are being denied, all three of those locations, they didn't show up to the meeting.
No, I know, but last month or previous, or whenever it was, we had an application with 88 Fulton Street, and that was, passed with, some reservations. I don't think that's ever gonna get built, because then they haven't done anything to create. an-
We're not talking about that one today, we're talking about this, they didn't show, so they get denied.
Okay, but the resolution says that they're all within 500 feet of the school, is that correct? or not?
And I think the answer is and.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I know. Your point is that in a previous resolution, we allowed something that we're not in this one, yet they both are 500 feet from the
I
school.
want to down the block from each other, so.
Well, down the block could be the 500 feet.
Well, what?
I can't, I'm
No,
not,
no, it's 5 for kind of.
Morton, in a way, I'm not focusing on what we did last month or whatever addresses we did last month. We're talking about the one that's in front of us. The one that's in front of us, the dispensary did not come, they did not show, they did not provide documentation. We cannot extend them to another time. If you
No, I
have
don't-
an issue with anything that's in here, please
Yeah,
say.
he's
But
complaining about
I
us.
think that the answer to your question is, and I remember it, it didn't meet it did meet whatever our regulation allowed.
Exactly.
And that, we had a whole discussion at the meeting.
We did. And these are
Okay.
not being
That-
denied for
That's,
that.
it's a different aspect, it's different.
Because they didn't show.
So let's leave that, I can, okay?
I don't think the one on the.
Okay. Any other questions on them?
No.
All right, so we're good. Thank you.
Second.
It's been called and seconded. We're voting by affirmation. So again, if you say yes, it is to deny 177 Dwayne, all three for Soho, the yes on the public comments and a yes for the beer and wine. Okay, are there any no's? Seeing no opposition and seeing none online, are there any abstentions? Which, from which one? Okay, Rich is abstaining from all four. Anybody else abstaining? Are there any recusals? Seeing none, all four pass. Thank you very much. Okay, the only other quick thing I'm gonna say for the pedestrian plaza rules, Laura Starr had a great idea while we were talking about pedestrian plazas. Because of the potential that we may have more, is that maybe we can work together and partner with AIA and a couple other organizations to do a forum to really talk about what we would want to see in a public plaza. We hear a lot of things about, what we'd like to turn our cities into and how we'd like to, create a really beautiful, adding more public space. But let's see, what do we want in the public, in a pedestrian plaza, which is very different than for example, Rosa and Gotham Park is a pedestrian plaza, so to speak. It's a DOT plaza because it's on DOT land. It is a beautiful open space, which I was remiss in also not reminding that there was a free block party there on Saturday from 12 to 5. But, right, go to the plaza, see what we're talking about, see what public open space is and how it feels more park-like than it does street-like. And with that, we'll move to the next committee.
Yes.
Okay, next is environmental protection.
Okay, we have slides? We have slides. Here we go, great. Okay, quickly, we have, had a presentation of Wedge, which is the waterfront edge design guidelines from the Waterfront Alliance. Howie, very interesting. You might remember this was something the board supported years ago. Next slide. Who we are. This is a group that is a community-based rating system to ensure basically the projects are built to a high resiliency standard and the focus is on resilience, ecology, and access. Next slide. There are minimum requirements to be part of this program. That was a little quickly. That the site must be on the water's edge. Projects must include a soft or natural shoreline. They must conduct community engagements. They must have public access. They must be intentionally without invasive plant species and built to a minimum desired flood elevation incorporating sea level rise. Next slide. These are the projects that have been wedge verified in the city, the ones highlighted in yellow, South Battery Park City, and East Side of Manhattan. And we sort of began this because Battery Park City Authority did have wedge verification for Wagner Park. Next slide. These are projects where the wedge status is for all the waterfront projects in our district. And as you can see, the Battery Coastal Resiliency Project and Battery, Brooklyn to Montgomery are not pursuing wedge. Don't know why exactly, but not great concern because most of these projects have passed wedge in terms of their resiliency. Next slide. Just that point that was raised is that originally this had a version 2, now it's a version 3 with slightly more elevated standards, and that Battery Park City's Wagner Park scored 125 points out of a possible 115 was passed it. Want to give them kudos and thank them. And what you're seeing is the piece of it that is the access to the water, or sort of at Wagner Park's edge up here, right? Okay. So we have, there's 2 resolutions that are in front of you today. These are presentations to do with that. This is just one presentation on Reach 1 and Reach 5. You recall that Battery Park City has 7 reaches they're looking at in their Northwest Resiliency Project. Here is Reach 1, which is a very interesting area that is crossing into Tribeca from the northern edge of Battery Park and Chambers Street, along West Street and across. Next slide. This was one move that was a good move that the Battery Park City revised their plans where what you're looking at is you're seeing a flood barrier wall in gray against the Battery Park, against the Manhattan Community College and IPN Towers, tiny. And as an extension of the sidewalk there with a street canopy. These are all improvements that were from an earlier plan. And the biggest thing they've done is they've moved their barrier system to the western side, to the eastern side of the street rather than the west, which allows, of course, for open views, which was very much appreciated. Next slide. Here you can see the wall. This is the gray wall that you see is the flood barrier system coming along North Moore Street. So we're starting from the high point on Greenwich, moving along North Moore, going west. Next slide. And here you are at the edge of West Street and North Moore. You see down the left there the large gate and the wall. And so you get a sense of what's in store. That's the existing condition. Next slide. And here is the proposed. And the only thing that we talked about in terms of the actual look of the wall at this point, although we will have an upcoming presentation on just the flood barrier systems and how they're made and such. But on this particular presentation, we're just looking at color. So this is what they provided. And this particular slide offers you what those gates look like, which was helpful. Next slide. And here it is in gray. Next slide. I'm trying to go fast because I know we have a lot to cover, but obviously you can spend a great deal of time. This is all on the Battery Park City's terrific website. So have at it, not to mention our YouTube. This is can you go back to that slide? Sorry, whoever's doing that. Yeah, thank you. This is important because this is the proposed plan. So what you're looking at, the bright orange color are the actual walls and the red are the gates. And you can see over on the left, you're crossing over the West Side Highway into Battery Park. And so this is a very critical portion of the plan. And what's interesting, and it's an opportunity on many levels here, is the fact that in crossing West Street, it opens up a conversation with State DOT, something we've wanted for years, to really look at what can happen along this artery, the West Side Highway. And so that will be hopefully part of the discussion, nothing to do with Northwest Battery Park City plans, but our West Side Resiliency Task Force interests. Next slide.
This is a view looking north toward, so on the right, you're seeing the deployable wall and the wall itself. Looking north from the greenery. Next slide. This is a very complicated part of the project, which is the circulation between the bikes, pedestrians, and the maintenance vehicles. We will be having a separate presentation, I hope, on this, or at least more information. What you're seeing here is the confluence of all of this and how this might start to happen. It could take an hour just to go over this and move on, but just all suffice it to say, it's something that is being looked at and reviewed very carefully and is a work in progress. These are all, by the way, between 40 and 60% designed, these plans. Next slide. Okay, so now we're at the second of the two reaches we were presented. This is Reach 5, which is the North Cove Marina, Pump House Park, and Kowski Plaza. This is at 40% design. You're looking at the North Cove Marina. Again, the orange walls with the flood barrier walls. A little bit confusing because the other orange looks like those umbrellas, but the dark orange. Next slide. They've updated already at 60%, so this is the most recent plan. And you can see again, the areas that are open are building large floodgates and the walls up against the waterfront plaza. Next slide. So Wendy was very helpful in asking the Battery Park City Authority to show sort of the existing with just this kind of ghosted in image of where these walls would be. And then later they show perspectives, and this was very helpful. This is of the existing flood barrier with the existing plaza at Belvedere with the new flood wall. So this is the northernmost part of the Reach 5. Okay, next slide. This is the existing waterfront plaza as it is today. Next slide. And here it is with the flood wall.
It's going to be the same wall.
Would the fountain go away? Yes, I mean, I think as you see it, yes. I can't speak, though. I have to look again about the water features on that. This is the existing, the upper plaza looking out. And this is just a shot to sort of show how difficult the Pump House Park area is. There's the subsurface constraints. You know, you've got the arteries coming in from, the tunnel. You have a million things going on in this area, and it became very, very difficult to do a great deal of design ideas that people had. It was impossible. There were a lot of suggestions made that couldn't be done. Next slide. And this is this shows you this bridge structure that was something that was discussed at length. I won't go into detail in this particular moment, but just suffice it to say that unfortunately the bridging structure cannot be moved further west, which affects tremendously the way Pump House Park will look. And there was a great concern on Pump House Park that it maintain its qualities today as a kind of secluded refuge, intimate space, which is lost in these plans currently because of its need to deal with this bridging structure underneath it. Next slide. So this is again with the flood barrier showing at Pump House Park, the existing, and this plan is the last slide showing you Pump House Park. But the Battery Park City Authority was very generous in saying that they would look very much at redesigning this area somewhat to talk a little bit more specifically to communities' concerns about making this more like the existing park. So that's it for the slides. The resolutions will detail many of all the things that were said during these meetings. I hope the conditions that people wanted to see, and I thank Jeff and Justine for help on this. In fact, Jeff wrote the first one. And so I would, hope that you've read them. We're about to vote on them. So if you haven't read them, then I guess, what can I say? But if you have questions on them, I'm here to answer them, as are my team here. That's Bruce.
Who wrote the resolutions?
It was a team effort.
I was gonna say, if you wrote them, I was gonna give you a cold compress for your forehead. They're incredible.
Yeah, they really are. Because I would say, to be honest.
Terrific. I was gonna say, and they're legible, they're understandable, really well done.
Thank you, and that to Jeff.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
This is a great team effort.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
We try very hard to get everybody.
Do we have any, thank you, Bruce, for that. Are there any questions in the room? on
Yeah.
that?
Can I call the question then?
Second.
So it's been called and seconded.
Proposed resolution.
Yeah.
2, 3,
Yeah,
4,
yeah, yeah.
1, 5. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I see nothing online, no questions online. Cameras on, please, for anybody who's online. That means Paul and Laura.
Yeah, for the 2 readings. And then you have both resolutions.
All right, okay, so I'm gonna go by affirmation. Do I have anybody that is in opposition to either resolution? Seeing no opposition online nor in the room, do I hear any abstentions? Seeing no abstentions, do I hear any recusals? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much, next committee.
That's it, all right. That might be me, yeah? I think it is.
Battery Park City.
Park City, so I think it is me.
Keep
All
in
right.
mind, everybody, you've got one resolution and 2
Yep.
reports, you've got 8 minutes.
I'm gonna be really quick because my resolution is about the suggestions to the Battery Park City Authority for their request for proposal for the commercial space in the Wagner Park Pavilion. So we're not challenging the pavilion. They've given us the opportunity to talk and opine on what we want to see there. So we met with them individually, we met with their team, we had a working group meet, and then we had some members of the public come in, and then we had a meeting at the Battery Park City Committee, and people weighed in, which was wonderful. I will go into all the details if you want me to. I don't have to. I had slides, I had pictures, but basically, I did have slides. I don't know if they.
Oh, Nash, do you have slides?
No, I sent them in with the resolution, but okay. Anyway, bottom line is we're looking at, yeah, I mean, I don't need to tell you all. We're concerned about the food concepts, the price points. We want to make sure who's going to be coming in, what's going on at the roof. It just really is looking at, some of the options that the authority presented us with in their, what was the fake one called?
There are FEI.
Thank you.
Expressions of interest.
Thank you. So that they did get back one report that kind of gave us a framework to look at, and we said what we liked, what we didn't like, and we're asking them to incorporate what we've put forward here into their resolution.
Yeah.
I mean, to their RPF, I mean, yeah.
Basically, much of what you see here is already in their
Yes, yeah.
RFEI. In fact, we quote pretty extensively
From
from
it,
it. And part of this resolution is basically saying, yeah, you've got the right idea, and here are a few drill down details that we think should be
That
included.
should be included, exactly. So we're giving them kudos for doing what they're doing, plus more. Yes, Tammy?
So my one concern, not one, I've got a couple, but one of them is on point 10, consistent with the RTI, rooftop should not be licensed, although public seating for food and drink may be desirable as long as such rooftop seating is available to the general and not limited to paying customers. So I
Correct.
just want to make sure, because I really don't want to see like a Pier 17 kind of a concept upstairs in that.
Yeah,
That you're talking about free public seating
that's what I thought
and
we're saying, yeah.
no pay to seat.
That's right. In
Yes.
fact, the RFEI, and I think we mentioned that in here, explicitly says the roof is not being licensed.
Yes, exactly. And,
Okay.
and I'm not sure, the South Wing Food Establishment? That might.
That's the restaurant. The
That's
Oh,
the restaurant.
okay, that's it. Okay,
the
good.
North Wing is the community.
Got it. I see. That's why that's in there. Okay. But yeah, so no, we've said we do not want food up there. They
Yeah,
may,
it said consistent with the RFEI
The
should not
only
be
thing
licensed.
that I didn't see on here, from the initial concepts and plans when we talked about Wagner Park,
Mhm.
the roof was supposed to be public space and accessible during park,
if you want to make, go ahead.
during park hours, which could ostensibly be very different than restaurant hours. So what we wanted to make sure was that the roof was accessible to the maximum amount of hours. So for example, I wouldn't want the roof locked at 7:30 in the morning, that people can't go up there if the park is open. Kind of like the structure that was there previously was open whenever the park was open.
Okay.
You understand what I mean by
I-
that?
That does.
I think that's their intention, but it's worth saying that.
Clearly, yeah, that's fair. Thank you, wordsmithing it.
Yeah. I don't have the words yet, but at the end of 10, after the semicolon, similarly, the rooftop should be open to the public whenever the park is open and not limited to when the restaurant is
Yeah.
open.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yes,
very
I
much.
accept that as a friendly motion. Go ahead. Yes.
So are you surprised? I'm surprised that there was only one response.
This
This is a most incredible opportunity for business. I can't imagine that there were dozens.
The request,
Are they concerned?
they're not concerned because the request for
Expression of interest.
expression of interest, thank you, I don't know why, I can't remember that, was not it wasn't the actual thing. It was people stepping in and it's a waste of their time to step up with, present their ideas. There's no guarantee. So their idea, they were happy. One person responded,
We did comment on that in our meetings with
Yeah.
them, and we asked that very question, are you concerned? And
they were not.
I mean, it is everyone's interest that whoever operates this facility can do so sustainably, make money doing it so that it stays open and it doesn't become vacant like Pier A,
Yeah, exactly.
for example. And the authority is acutely aware of the problems with Pier A and doesn't want a repeat of that here. So they don't seem to be worried. We'll see when the RFA goes out and the responses come in. But they
And
don't-
when is that going out?
But soon,
Very soon.
they were really kind enough. They wanted to get it out earlier than our meeting. They waited for us to, at least in committee, pass our resolution so they could hear from us. And then it may be out already. I don't think so though. And then, just putting out notes about the zero carbon certification and looking forward about we're asking them to pay attention to the kind of, utensils they're serving, the containers, they want to keep it all green. And, keep garbage pails out, and we've asked them to put composting, in the area. So bins and also, recycle, which they would have anyway, I would assume, because they've got those in regular places. But it seems to be pretty green. Go ahead.
I was gonna call the question.
No, Andrew has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Andrew, I didn't see you behind.
If the rooftop is in fact open public space, who will maintain it? Is it
They were, yeah.
Yeah.
It's their space, yeah, so they will maintain.
Okay, now.
Second. Awesome. So we'll do this again, a vote by affirmation. Those who were not here for the last resolution just need to say their last name. So, by affirmation.
Joyce, yes.
Fantastic. Are there any in opposition? Seeing and hearing none. Are there any abstentions?
Mark?
Amoruso abstains. Are there any other abstentions? Hearing and seeing none, motion passes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, thank you. Yes, quickly, what I'm gonna say is I'd like to make an announcement about, Stuyvesant and Asphalt Green, just to let people know, if that's all right. So, the authority has informed us that, the community center at Stuyvesant High School is gonna be closed for the summer in July and August because they're having their heating and air conditioning ventilation system renovated. So what they did was they've asked for Asphalt Green to accept temporary membership from people who were already members, people who are members today of the community center at Stuyvesant High School. Anybody who's a member today needs to register by June 1st, and they'll get access for the summer, so they will not be losing anything to Asphalt Green for no charge. So that's really great. I think they did that kind of by themselves, so kudos to the authority for that.
They did, I was gonna announce that, thank you, Jessica.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, no, I was really happy about that. So, yeah, thank you.
And it really needs to be done.
Yeah, it was
Tricia, your
wonderful.
timing is fantastic. Ed, you're up.
I apologize for being late. I had a work commitment. So we had only one item, but it was an important item. We had John Liu come to our meeting. And as you know, he is, the Center for Education, and we had him come because we were curious as to what the funding stream is for the new class size mandate from the state. If you all aren't familiar with it, you'll see it in the resolution. We finally, after 20 years, were successful in getting the attention of our governor in terms of the crisis situation we have with class sizes in New York. After it being the number one request on the DOE survey for 25 years in New York City, from parents and students. They finally acknowledged that our class sizes were, not what they needed to be. My daughter went into a high school class of 37. And even in classes with special needs, the CTT classes were still up at 37. And so obviously that was detrimental to the learning, the learning opportunities of our children. So finally, Governor Hochul passed this law. And if you aren't familiar with it, it phases in over several years, and they have to meet a percentage each year across the schools in the city of how many are meeting the new class size mandate. What we didn't understand, and we do now, is that they gave $1 billion to the city. And when we did the math and looked at how many schools there were, they could have easily met, given the fact that over 30% were already compliant just because of under enrollment with difficulties in where the schools were. It would have been very easy to meet the class size standards. This was worrisome. And then what we found out from John is that the city has discretion as to how they use the state funds, even if they're earmarked for class size reduction. They don't have to use them for that as things stand right now with mayoral control. So this resolution requires them to, audit where the money went and earmark it for only this purpose going forward, because this is what the state put it aside for. This is an addition, by the way, to the other money they have given the city for education. This is outside of the regular education budget, in case anybody's interested. So that's what this resolution is, very simply that. We have other issues to take up later around this item, but we wanted to keep it very specific.
Justine, just a quick question. So when they use their discretion have their discretion to use it for different things, does it even at least have to be education related, or it could be for like fixing potholes?
Well, Desi, actually, I would like to hear Desi tell us what she told us at the meeting. Would you be willing to do that?
Well, I was just wondering if the answer is no, we don't know.
Okay.
There's no real tracking and accountability for this money. And also, we don't know if this money, if it is earmarked for education, does it specifically have to be education within the school system?
One would think. That's even another thing too. Wow.
There are so many education earmarks that are possible.
Right.
Outside of the Department of Education, and they've never been audited, and they're not accountable to the taxpayers. And so we would like to, this is perfectly leading us into what's going to be the audit of the DOE and the SCA.
So the resolution isn't calling for that kind of audit.
No, it is not. We're
Not
being
yet.
very specific right now.
Why not?
Because we voted as a committee to keep this very focused and just focus on asking them to use the money specifically for this purpose. We then are going to move as a committee to maybe creating that audit with the comptroller. But we thought for this resolution, we wanted to be just strictly focused because we actually need a lot more data for that resolution.
Okay.
So that's why we decided that.
Call the question.
Second.
All right, we're gonna vote by affirmation. All those, everybody who's online, cameras on, please. Somebody can tell you again. Okay. That's one, that's two. Laura? Great. All right, so by affirmation, do we have anybody who's in opposition? None in opposition. Do I have any abstentions? No abstentions. Do I have any recusals? Keep in mind, if you are a teacher or an employee of the DOE, you must.
You must what, abstain?
Yeah.
Recuse.
Okay, fantastic. Motion passes. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Next committee.
Well, we have a lot. So just a couple of things to start and get to, some of the resolutions don't have the, we omitted the time for the pickup of garbage, but they will be in the stipulations. We didn't put it in the resolutions. So, no, it will be included in the stipulation. We, also, are going to talk about, not tonight, road bed, dining out, hours, what we're gonna allow for liquor, because there's, and liquor, it's really the liquor to go, and sitting outside till all hours of the night, and we're gonna put time limits on it. We have some ideas on that. Because they just sit out there, bring a bottle of wine, bring another bottle of wine, and what happens? You know, for people who live around there. So that's one. They're all pretty simple. The first one on Reed Street, withdrew. And they basically withdrew because we wouldn't give them till 2 a.m. And, as is in the resolution. And they withdrew and they said they'd come back, but who knows? But,
So we're not voting on 111?
well, we are gonna vote on it because, we accept their decision to withdraw. We have to note that for SLA in case, who knows what they could do. You know, I trust no one anymore. And all the rest, if you go through them, there was some, I know that, Justine had a question on the hot pot.
My one question was, they got their signatures, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I mean, I heard nothing bad.
No. And people, they did, and, they were really very nice, and their hours are very simple or whatever. And we could do it, I think, we could take Tribeca Battery Park. We could take them all, I think.
Together, yeah.
I just think we could take them all.
Second that again.
Wait, every last one of all of them?
Every last one, all of them, yeah. Why not?
No.
Yes,
Oh, you gotta
except
talk about-
one thing.
Which one?
I have my,
Where was that trouble?
Charlie, whatever, over my left there. We're gonna forget 100, we're gonna do 100 Cedar Street alone. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
okay? That's gonna be totally alone because we have some questions, 10th Street.
Oh, my God.
Okay, so let's take everything but 100 Cedar.
Okay.
All right.
So did I have a second? Okay.
Okay.
All right, so, rolling by affirmation, for everything except for 100 Cedar. Is everybody a yes?
I have to recuse from, One New York Plaza.
Okay, thank you. Any other recusals for anything? Any abstentions for anything? Fantastic, motion's passed. 100 Cedar Street.
Oh, yes. I would just like to say, out here, I have a great committee. And that they struggle through all this crap is amazing. And I really am very grateful to all of them. And my co-chair. So there. All right, 100 Cedar Street. It's a long story. I think you'll remember it. It's all related to 10th Street. And this really, so you understand, is the restaurant. It's the restaurant which you're going to enter on Cedar Street. Has nothing to do with Thames. You're going to enter on Cedar, and you're going to have the mobility access on Trinity. Although there are issues, Thames rather, no, you're going to have it on Trinity. Remember, not on Thames. On Trinity, but there's going to be a problem eventually, we think, because Trinity's going to have construction on it, but they're going to have to figure it out. They're going to have an outdoor space, they claim, on Trinity. Oh, please. So this was, so you all understand, this was a really contentious application. Not by the restaurant, because they got smart, but by the owner of the building. And the owner of the building has a real vested interest. I want you all to understand this. Besides being rude to Tammy, to Susan, to all of us, to Pat, all of us. He really wants to have all the restaurants that he controls, and he was going to control with this main restaurant, and pay rent to him. and control the whole street. That was his vision. So there was a lot of, he was absolutely rude and hostile.
Does he own both buildings?
He owns it all, sweetheart. Mr. Cohen, to be precise.
Mr. what, King?
Cohen,
Cohen.
sorry.
Sorry.
I can say that. Anyway, he was quite terrible. And, so this is what we came up with, and I am, Francis.
Important to note that the number 9 whereas.
Yeah.
We are, we'll need to, change that to strongly oppose.
Yes, that would be great. I
Yes,
think
we strongly oppose that because he's insistent, on that. And pay attention to number 10.
I have a question. Will the applicant sign the slip and he will agree to not he will return to us for any potential applications for Thames Street, and it won't be included in the liquor license.
Well, the last week, that's what we're saying in our results,
Yeah,
that any alterations, he has to,
okay.
You want to say it more strongly? That's fine by me. But we did say we'll CB1 will evaluate any alteration and a renewal request against stipulation requirements.
And applicant agrees to return to the community board.
Okay.
Because I don't want to be reviewing it after he's already gone to the SLA.
Prior to going.
Applicant,
Where is he stipulating not to, do anything outside?
He hasn't.
he hasn't.
And so he won't?
We don't know.
No, but he won't until he comes back. I mean,
He won't until he comes to us, is
How do-
what Tammy is.
how do we know that he's gonna do that? There's nothing in here.
No, it
that
does.
says-
It does. It says,
Where?
and to apply for a DOT dining out.
So he has to return to us.
It does say.
To apply
Thank
that,
you.
but what I'm hoping is that we can make the SLA stipulation that says he will return to us before any changes in his liquor license that would include that, because otherwise,
So give us, let us put it in, Tammy, but how do you want it put in? Mr. Wordsmith, sir?
Yeah, right, that's it.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what we're trying to say here.
What we're trying to say is that any alteration, any aspect of expanding the liquor license, right? Or changing it, he must come back to us.
Well.
If we don't
what's-
say 10th
what's to-
Street.
What's to say here that he's not already applying for it?
Intends to apply. Intends to apply, it says on page.
Remember, if they're going to apply, Jeff, they have to come back to us.
And that's just the law.
That is the law, so far, until it gets changed, as Tammy says,
But if he does this, does he automatically have to go back to the
the
SLA?
concern that I have is, once he gets approved for outdoor dining hours on the Trinity side,
Onesh reminded me that open dining was not open yet when they came to us.
Okay.
oh, yes,
So they gotta come back.
No?
he has to apply through them anyway.
Right.
Yeah,
But the key is, from my perspective is, we're giving him Trinity on here.
We are giving him Trinity.
And which is, saying that we understand he intends to apply for a Trinity, and we've covered ourselves on Trinity. Without specifically outlaying that he needs to return to us for Thames Street, they can just take what's on Trinity and apply it.
okay,
So
so,
specifically say to the 10th Street part of the application?
That I think
Well, it
any,
kind of says that, but
I think
see, I'm
it's,
not an expert on how these resolutions work, but just reading like the English language.
please do. Thank you, Jeff, I'm most grateful. I have trouble on too much time.
It sounds to me like, unless we explicitly say otherwise, we're saying fine.
Yeah.
Here's a little, I have to say.
So I think
Yeah,
therefore
that-
we
that he told us this is what we're gonna do, and we're approving his liquor license anyway, so
Yeah, but we say here that we still, you know, and whereas number 9.
But no, but we need to say that
But he-
therefore be it resolved.
Well, all we're saying there is that we've opposed it. We don't say anything about him agreeing that
Yeah.
it's gonna come back to us.
Especially.
I mean, he agrees that we oppose it, but that doesn't matter to him.
Right, so the last one just says we oppose it unless he agrees. Well, but that's.
But no, but unless he agrees to what?
What? Yeah, exactly.
And nowhere in here is he agreeing to come back.
So we basically want to repeat whereas number 9 and say therefore be it resolved.
Well, I don't know, I just,
Or 10.
whereas number 9 says,
Well, it's, you mean the one that says the applicant has agreed to outdoor hours on Trinity Place? And Tammy is saying that if he agrees to Trinity Place,
But that
he
does
has the
not-
access
Does not.
to Thames.
Right, that it does not automatically match to 10th Street.
The applicant has agreed to outdoor hours on Trinity Place. Do we put in there, this in no way refers to
10th Street.
10th Street?
Any, yes,
how
there.
about the applicant agrees to return to the community board?
Yeah.
You put that down, please.
Yeah,
to-
before.
If that's what we want him to
Yep.
agree to.
Yes, yes.
100%.
You should say that, not it implies that he has
Thank
to
you.
come back.
Place, not inclusive.
Jeff's got the wording.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right, that makes sense.
Wait, say it
Because-
one more time?
Well, I'm trying to write it, but I'll say it when I write it.
basically, he's making English of that they only have Trinity Place. They will return to the community board if they want any access to Thames Street. Which we're hostile to get.
Oh, Ned,
Oh, Ned, show her.
here. Oh, Ned, go. I need to record it.
Jeff is doing it.
Jeff is writing it.
Yeah,
He's writing
give me a
it.
second, and then you can-
We have a question. Why is it called a 100-seater? We're looking on the map and we can't find it.
It's right across, 100th Street is between, Broadway and Trinity. That's the entrance. That's their address.
It's a tiny street.
Yeah.
Cedar is a tiny street. It's a big mess. And I'm not sure they're gonna ultimately open. But that's what we're giving them and that's what we're doing. But that's the entrance. That's why they wanted the whole thing on Thames and the whole big business.
There's no outdoor dining available due to the parking regulations on Cedar Street.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with anything, but
Yeah,
I'm just curious.
looking at that.
This is an immense restaurant, but it's on the first and second floor. It's not on the ground floor, so
It is on the ground.
Well,
It's steep.
Go upstairs.
It's a huge hill.
that's a high school.
And that's why the issue is the ADA.
Not that building.
Okay.
Not
yeah,
that building.
I'm just curious.
It's not that building.
Okay.
But no,
16 pounds.
Okay, how about this?
I'm listening.
And change it any way you want, but
No, go.
the applicant agrees to return to CB1 if the applicant wishes to extend its liquor license to outdoor seating on the sidewalks or street along Thames Street.
Yes.
Yes. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that
Jeff.
doesn't lock into the DOT
And
program.
with that, can we call, are there any other questions?
So
or
that
can we-
implies that we would someday maybe agree to that.
Well, but maybe, but
In their dream.
We may or may not.
we may or may not, but it's.
It may or may not, but they have to come to us.
Yeah.
You can't assume it.
Okay, well,
Yes,
They
second.
can't go to the SLA and say our resolution or report.
Infinity,
So we make.
don't they say demands this, that, just any other location that's been approved? As required by SLA regulation, any alteration,
Right,
you can return.
Jeff is
Adding that,
taking
yeah.
that into
At
consideration.
any
And he's doing
location,
Smith.
outdoor seating, at any location
Then Trinity.
other than
That was approved.
Trinity Street, is it Street?
Trinity
Yeah.
Place.
Place, I
We
think
have to be
place.
very specific because they're untrustworthy,
All right,
not the
hands
owners.
up.
I
Hands
have a question.
want to put in.
Jill.
Jill, you have a hand up?
Yeah, my question was, is it has agreed to come back to the community board? You say agrees to come back, but I'm wondering if it should be has agreed.
That's one of the stipulations, is they will be agreeing.
They agreed to come
Yeah,
back.
so that's a whereas, we're putting that as a whereas,
I think
right?
you said, but in the language used is agrees, not has agreed.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay,
They haven't agreed.
Because they haven't, so we're
They
requiring.
haven't agreed to come back.
Yes.
Okay, I believe Alice called the
And I
question.
second it.
Oh, fantastic. All right, all in favor, we'll go by affirmation. Are there any in opposition? Are there any abstentions?
Wait, wait.
What?
There's a resolution,
You
left
abstaining?
hand over here. It says it has agreed.
Oh, so they did agree. So
They
we're-
did agree. Thank you, Jill.
Oh, that's what I thought you said, yeah.
Thank God for Francis.
Okay.
We say that every day.
I do. I can say it twice a day.
Again, back into the middle of the vote. Are there any in opposition? Are there any abstentions? Are there any recusals? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, next committee.
Some land use? Is that possible?
Laura, your land use.
We have a.
Laura.
Laura's doing for Patrick.
Laura.
You mind, I'll be-
Okay.
Who's gonna do?
All right, we have one resolution. I guess, we'll be doing it. Sorry, no more. All right, this was 88 Pine Street request to amend the previous granted variance to allow construction of the vestibules. People can see what this resolution says. Does anybody have any questions? I was there.
Sorry, Tammy, I'm here. I apologize.
Okay, thank you. Please
Will
take.
you tell me what they're asking for? I read the resolution, but I'd like to hear it clearly.
They
Laura,
want
take-
to, do you want me to do this or do you want to do it, Tammy?
Nope, you.
Okay, they want to create more expansive ADA doors that punch out into the plaza that lead into their lobby. And so the main comments had to do with if you're taking away plaza space, give something back to the community in exchange for doing that. It also wasn't clear that they needed to take that much space for doing what they were trying to do.
They already had ADA.
Accessibility.
An ADA entrance.
They're looking to.
In other words, they're looking to build.
So.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't really want to, impute. I don't want to say that they want to build or anything like that. The point is that
You don't have to, they do.
What I was gonna say, Laura, is they were
Say it.
showing a sculpture which was 88 Pine Street. So what they want to do is have a place to, that comes out about, as I recall, about 12 feet into the sidewalk, which is public sidewalk. And in doing that, they show a sculpture, but when they showed the picture, the sculpture says 88, which is the building's number. So you could argue that it's in their interest to have
Yeah.
that sculpture. And with this 12-foot, canopy. So just, that's that.
Okay, are there any other questions for Laura? Laura, do you have anything else?
no, I think that's the main issue is them imposing on the space that, the plaza space. So.
You did right.
Call the question.
Second.
Awesome. So vote by affirmation. Are there any in opposition? Seeing no oppositions, are there any abstentions? Zelter abstains. Any other abstentions? Any recusals? Motion passes.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thanks.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Laura, is there anything else you want to report on from
Nope,
the Downtown Alliance?
no, I think we can keep going.
Okay, Downtown Alliance gave a nice robust report. If you'd like to see it, watch the recording. Next. I love that. Thank you, Laura. All right, Waterfront Parks, Paul, you're up.
Okay, I can be very quick. We had a report from City Hall Park Conservancy. They are a relatively new organization that's taken over some jurisdiction over the park. in addition to Friends of City Hall Park and Skip Bloomberg, it's been around since '92. But anyway, the new organization is a group of volunteer neighbors who've pulled themselves together, and they've actually formed a 501c3, so they have the ability to raise money and host programs, and they have a multi-tiered approach to restoring and maintaining planted areas. These are some of their priorities: advocating upgrades and developing community involvement through regular events and programs. Among the programs that they've sponsored are Tai Chi and yoga classes. They have nature programs for children and cultural walks. And they had a fairly big Earth Day celebration about a week ago on the 20th, where they had a lot of people doing a lot of gardening in particular. And one other priority of this organization is to try to make the lawn areas more multi-purpose and mixed use so that kids can basically get some active space. So it sounds like a good group, and we're going to continue to work with them. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you very much, Paul. Appreciate that. Moving on, transportation, Dr. K. Ta-da.
Three resolutions, but I want to start with the report, which you'll see when you go into slides. Here's my agenda. Anyway, want to talk a little bit about Fluke Highways, quickly. You want to know more, do watch the tape. But since it's a pretty big initiative and there's been a lot of waiting for it, I wanted to mention, we did hear from the EDC. Next, yeah, freight. 90% of the freight coming into and moving around New York City is done by truck. So the real focus of this is how do you reduce truck traffic in New York City? And then go to the next one. They're trying to use the highways using the river system. So that some of this movement from the, they're really focusing at this point on moving it from the warehouses when it's things first come into the city. The trucks will go to the warehouses, mostly in Brooklyn and Bronx. But how do they then get to Manhattan? And that's where the focus is now. And you'll see there is a federal grant that was received specifically to work on this particular project. This is a 5-year project. Next. You can see Pier 6 is one of the 3 in Manhattan that will be part of this project. There are 2 others, and you can see the others are in Brooklyn and so the warehouses are located. Next. This is what the mayor showed in November at his press conference. They're looking to build out on Pier 6 before you get out to the heliport. What you see in pink here, the dock that will be used for where the boats will shore up and also unload where cargo bikes and electric vans will then pick up the goods and bring them the last mile within Manhattan. And the DOT has not started, we're not talking about the planning there. Once it comes off the dock, we don't know any of that yet. Obviously. Next. And just because I thought people were the most interested in this. Right now, they are looking at the engineering firm. They are going to processing that to identify who that's going to be. Once they do that, starting this summer, they can start conducting environmental assessments. They'll be doing sort of preliminary planning. You can see things about the dock. I can't even start it until the engineering firm is not on board to do it. Anyway, it will then be the year after the end of this year, they will then be doing some community engagement. That's the first opportunity we have to start our funding on it. It'll be a year later, the end of next year, before they actually start building things out. So the time frame is relatively long. This is just a heads up of what's coming when you see it. And for 3 resolutions. First one is a popular one. The dinner on Duane. It's a street activity permit request. Next. There's also fundraising for Duane Park by the Friends of Duane Park. They started in 2022 to do this long table dining. And that's what this is going to be again for the third year. They've made no changes in the past 2 years, which were very popular. In fact, they sold out in less than an hour. So, people are already waiting for their tickets to go on sale to this year. They're going to do public engagement throughout the afternoon, and then in the evening, there is a paid ticket for both the cocktail hour and the student time. But they're raising money for their functions throughout the year. You can see what the table looks like from last year. And they use local vendors, which gives a lot of the businesses on the block involved. This is between Hudson Street and Grant Street. There are going to be no changes from last year with how they do it. So the other addition, besides putting up that one block, is cutting off access from Staple Street, because they don't want vehicles driving into where their table is. Next. Yes, last year, it actually was rained out, and they had to go indoors. Again, one of their supporters leave in a space indoors. They're hoping to actually be able to use it. They have good relationships with their neighbors. We had no complaints. This was a unanimous decision for supporting this effort in 2024, and that will be on Sunday, September 15th. It does run from the morning until evening. I think it's like 7 or 8 in the morning until 11 p.m. It really is. Any questions or?
How much money this event raises for the park?
I don't.
The more the merrier.
Yeah. They need it for they're trying to build out the parks.
Schools.
I know what affiliates say they're gonna need some very significant money. Fundraising outside from the city fund, they're gonna need funding here.
Yeah.
It's just a little controversial because the people that, I think they solved this though, there were people living on Duane Street that witnessed the dinner that weren't able to attend. And I think that they solved that so that they, I guess, got either first dibs or at least an equal opportunity to get tickets to that dinner. I don't know if anybody else can expound on that.
Yeah, they've raised the prices, yeah, they've done.
These towns, whether they have the tickets sale, but said they are sold out in less than an hour.
Wow, so it's a hot thing.
It's a very hot thing, and so not everyone's gonna get a ticket.
Yeah, I mean, I'll call the question.
Okay, love that. Vote by information. Are there any in opposition? Hearing and seeing none. Are there any abstentions? Hearing and seeing none. Any recusals? Okay, motion passes. Awesome.
Right, the next one, the hotel loading zone. The Warren Street Hotel, which is at 86 Warren Street. As you can see in the east of where Whole Foods, there may end up being a micro distribution center for Amazon. But there is a bike lane and that is of interest. The outline, this is actually put together by the applicant who just took theirs. But you can see they do own hotels in Manhattan. The experience with at least one of them is actually same configuration. It's on a bike lane. So they're kind of used to dealing with it. They don't have 100 rooms. That's the level of DOT you have to pass to be able to get active rights in your hotel. You get a hotel loading zone. They have to get some approval from the council. You can see the anticipation for the amount of traffic into wanting access to parking. Vendors, yes, the hotel and bar, as well as the hotel itself, as well as up to 400 a day. Your pension point, I think, notice the word vendors. Go to the next one. This is where the ambiguity is. This is on the DOT website. This is what the hotel loading zone looks like. So it is 24 hours, 7 days a week within the area. But it is mentioned that it is for the arrival and just unloading of guests and their luggage. There's no mention of vendors. There's no mention of service vehicles. This is what the DOT says. Brought up next. So it's pointed out by Kate Shearer, who is our representative from the DOT. In fact, our two commercial parking zones across the street that they would provide them to use. However, during the next one, you'll see
the time limit on those, and they run from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. The hotel was arguing, what do we do after 6 p.m.? Linens are delivered after that. We can have service, we have elevator breakdown, we have others, there can be other issues, and we have nowhere else to put them because this commercial parking disappears at night and on weekends. Anyway, what are they asking for? This is a, first of all, keep in mind, this is a new building. They leveled and got rid of a parking garage.
Right.
So this originally was driveways, not curbs. So if you're talking about losing parking, there never was parking here. Now it's a building, it's a new building. You'll see, they're asking to have 45 of the 72 feet of their frontage designated as this hotel loading zone. And if you go to the next one, by DOT standards, that's 2 car lengths. But in fact, this was on a random, this was Easter Sunday, in fact. You can see 3 vehicles fill up the whole space. So their estimate's pretty good that if they got the 45 feet, it would give them kind of 2 car lengths distance. So after much discussion, it was resolved, and we had 3 letters of support from people on the block, no comments against this proposal at all. There is some real merit. Oh, if you go back to where the building is, the parking, there's one other point before this makes sense. Go back. Back. Yeah. If you look at this, you can see, no. Too far. You look, you can see the bike lane very remotely. It is just 2 white lines. It's not green. There is no bike logo in it. This is a concern because how do you know it's a bike lane, especially when you're just driving down the street? So that comes up in the resolution too. Next. So we borrowed Susan Cole's terminology, thank you. Decided we do not support less is the terminology here, but we have a hotel employee available to direct the vehicle in order to minimize the conflicts, the adjacent bike lane. They said they had already agreed to have an employee do that, and they had experience doing it in their one of their hotels, and they just opened the door on the curb side and asked people to pay attention on that side versus into the bike lane. So they can't door anybody. People approaching on and in the hotel loading zone are informed to watch out for the bicycles.
Yeah.
Also not to door the cyclists, and that's why they also said we will use the curb lane to direct people. Bicycle lane on Warren Street is painted green or otherwise made clearly bike lane, such as putting in those logos. Anything that would be visible to the eye in that zone. That would be DOT responsibility. We're not sure the hotel could have much say, even if they wanted to pay for it themselves. Nevertheless, Kate felt it was reasonable to put it in here. The hotel provides information about sustainable methods of transportation to try to minimize the number of vehicles that would want to park there and cross the bike lane. And in fact, the hotel is in the process of doing that already, the website and all that commercial material. And also, because we wasn't completely clear about the regulations for the loading zone, we have them follow the DOT regulations and hotel loading zones, because they could very well be altered over time, especially those hours where the other commercial zones are no longer available to them. Oh, I'm sorry, and the next slide is the other, therefore be resolved. It further resolved, again, we just asked the DOT to help with the market in the back.
Okay.
We know people who live right next door, and they were telling me that the hotel has sadly not been great neighbors, and then they mentioned that.
They came for the
Right.
people were not happy.
Yes,
with
and
the
then-
hotel. They wanted a rooftop bar.
Yes, and I think that they were notified that they were considering a loading zone area. But then the neighbors actually didn't know that this application was coming in. So they were not notified, which is maybe why no letters were received or no sort of vocal opposition was
Well, I can
found.
see one of the counters to that. Do you really want to have people permanently parked there? And so all the vehicle comes and drop off, park in the go in. It was in a bike lane or go into the one moving lane of travel. That would be the only other option. But to create two parking spaces was seen as a really bad trade-off for what they wanted to do. Which, what the,
I'm not saying pro or con to the parking spaces, I'm just saying that in relation to, in regards to the sort of no letters of opposition, it was because the
it's
community
about two
was
parking spaces though.
notified that the application was going through.
This is about two parking spaces, nothing else about hotel.
Hold on, let's not go back and forth, back and forth. But that is getting too late tonight, and I'm gonna be a little grumpy in about 20 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna go around the room. Susan?
There's two
Jeff?
different
Eric.
issues, I think.
Yes.
One is bad neighbors, okay? One is related to the restaurant, the liquor licenses, that's bad neighbors. I don't disagree. The other is a functioning hotel and the ability to be able to figure out how to make it work. They're two different issues. And the transportation issue is the transportation issue, as Betty is describing it. If they are really upset, they've got to come to the quality of life or the SLA to complain. Okay?
Correct. Jeff and then Eric.
I guess I'm very familiar with that, street. In fact, I was standing in that parking lot on 9/11 when the planes flew over. But, it doesn't look any different than lots of other streets that have lots of other businesses that have people drop off frequently, such as a restaurant or residences or small hotels. And I'm not sure why this particular hotel deserves this dispensation when lots of other places have similar transportation-like needs and don't get it. I'm not sure what's special about that.
The only thing that I would say is they came to ask.
Yeah.
They have a bike lane in front of the hotel as well, and they're looking to try and clear up the situation, that figuring that if the worst possible situation is people parked in front of the hotel, a bike is still trying to get through, and the car is parked out here, right? Getting
They don't
people
have that
through.
many rooms. I mean, how frequently does that even happen? And I imagine lots of people are walking in and out of the hotel typically.
Don't know, it's,
I just see it's different than, I mean, this
it's
situation
not
exists
different,
lots of
it's not
places.
different, it's not different from other boutique hotels, which they brought up. DOT had showed that there were two other boutique hotels in the neighborhood who also have a spot or two in front.
And they've also gotten this dispensation, or they haven't?
And they had less than 100 rooms, like,
I
because that, I mean, that's
I'd
why
have to
they're
go back
coming
and look
to
at-
us,
I don't
because they're so small.
Yeah, but point made, Jeff. Eric?
Yeah, I initially voted no for it because, as Jeff says, they didn't meet the threshold by the DOT of 100 rooms. They're only gonna have 60. So I foresee that they're eventually gonna use this as a de facto private commercial loading and unloading area. I mean, if it'll be, they're gonna just use it for any purpose they have. So. Not just for hotel loading and loading, it'll be for their vendors.
I
mean, there's not a lot of ways to get from the Brooklyn Bridge to the West Side Highway. And so if we have cars going into the bike lane, like pulling over into the bike lane to let people out there, and we're going to have more cyclists with congestion pricing, it seems prudent to allow for the cars to pull off and not sit in the bike lane.
And to have somebody there who's gonna be trying to keep the bicyclists safe.
The other side of the street is all commercial parking.
It's also,
Okay, Cody?
It's also a matter of keeping not just bicyclists safe, but also the pedestrians getting out of their cars safe. If they have like a designated place to drop them safe. I think they sit around like 100 cars a day.
That's a slide.
More than
400.
300 or 400 cars
The restaurant and the bar.
per day.
Can we call the question?
Second.
First of all, let's not be rude to Cody. Let's get Cody be able to finish his statement. And then we can move to the next one, okay? Yeah, I hear you. We've got two other committees. Let's just let Cody finish his statement, then Andrew has his hand, then we can entertain the others.
It's just that it's also just protecting pedestrians and that they've been estimated around 300 cars per day dropping off. Guests.
60 rooms, that's.
That's a boss. So,
Okay, Jeff?
Yeah.
Jeff, thank you. Andrew, you have the last one.
So
I'm gonna support this, but just an observation to share that others perhaps have observed as well. So that, what is it, the Greenwich Hotel that's on Greenwich and Northmore?
Yeah,
That, I believe that has a designated spot for dropping off, yet there are cars double parked there almost nonstop. So I think we should expect, no matter what we do, the reality is those cars are gonna park, they're gonna figure out what they need to do for spots.
yeah.
So that's something we need to address, probably.
Mark? Okay.
Down the road.
Andrew, are you done?
I am, yes.
Fantastic. Do I have any motions, Ms. Chapman?
Call the question.
Second, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. That was hilarious. All right, where am I? Okay.
Voting.
I'm voting. Okay. We're gonna vote by affirmation. We're gonna assume everybody's a yes. Are there any in opposition?
Galloway.
Okay. Since I have more than one, I'm gonna point, you say your name out loud and go.
You.
Lerner.
Galloway.
Galloway and Minsley.
Minsley, I said that.
Minsley, okay. Is there anybody online who's in opposition? Are there any abstentions? Hands up in the back. I can't see you because Morton's standing.
Brown Kennedy.
Brown Kennedy abstains. Vera Sung abstains. Anybody else? Meltzer abstains. Okay. All right. On that note, motion passes. Thank you very much. And yes, pursuant to what Mark is saying, we should keep an eye on the location because one of the reasons that they do need the drop off, as we all know, is for the restaurant and bar. With increased traffic with restaurant and bar, it comes back to what Rosa was saying with the neighbors being unhappy with their back terrace and the restaurant and the noise.
Well, Citibank.
Okay. All right, next committee. Betty, are you all done? I'm sorry, you report. Oh, we have one more resolution? Goodness gracious.
Legislation require moped retailers to put in moped copies about information they need to be responsible for as a moped owner. Yes, because it's a big problem. There's some information you can see that's related to the force, they have to tell them about, they need to be registered. They need to be inspected.
Oh, I love
They
it.
need to have insurance.
That's just, it's wonderful.
They need to operate, the operation and the traffic safety requirements to be responsible to. That's why some people mistake moped with e-bikes, and they're not. They are limited use motorcycles. So the next step is like, you know? That is all the city can do is ask for education. Luckily, there is state legislation that would require that they have to get registered at the point of sale, much as you do with any vehicle. The vehicle has to do it. You must leave with license plates. These are pending in. Next.
All right. This is a lot of stuff. I'm gonna ask you not to read it all because I think people can speed read faster than you can talk. And I hope to God that they have read the resolution.
Yeah.
And I know Mimi helped you with this one, which was awesome.
Yeah, and I want you to realize that a lot of the complaints that you've been hearing from people about on the sidewalk and being injured, this is an attempt to address it. That's what this is.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Betty on this one?
Wendy?
Wendy.
So I see in there that it's not allowed, maybe mopeds aren't allowed on the Brooklyn Bridge right now. But how does someone in Brooklyn who has a moped get to Manhattan or they don't?
Tunnel.
Or
They could move to the Manhattan Bridge, the Williams, the Manhattan
Other
Bridge.
bridges are okay, just the Manhattan Bridge.
They can take.
Okay, sorry, it's just that specific bridge.
About the tunnel.
Oh, I bet he knows better than I thought.
Are they not? They're not allowed to drive.
Right, so I'm just curious how someone in Brooklyn got to Manhattan and it's.
Went illegally into the bike lane, and a lot of them claim, I didn't know I couldn't do that. What do you mean it's not a bike? It's different.
Because you can ride in traffic with automobiles. a moped.
You ride in a regular lane.
But not on Brooklyn Bridge.
Okay.
Apparently that's really great.
So I was just trying
If
to.
there's
What
anybody have,
routes would we take?
anybody have any other
Since when do we follow rules and regulations?
Well, I said.
It's been called, it's been seconded, I love that. All right, do I have, assuming perhaps everybody's
fascist?
Oh, goodness gracious. Nope. We're gonna vote by affirmation. Are there any opposed to this? Hearing and seeing none. Are there any abstentions? Hearing and seeing none, any refusals? Motion passes. Thank you so much. Next is landmarks, and I think Vera is doing landmarks today.
You'll be happy to know that we had one applicant who, I believe he came back for the second time, with regard to his vertical rooftop extension. And we determined that he had not provided a based upon his mock-up, which really wasn't much of a mock-up, and we asked him to return for a third time. That's it.
All right, thank you, Vera. All right, so now we have our last committee of the night, and Jill's gonna take it, but I need everybody to stick around for 1 second after we do this. So because nobody sticks around afterwards, I'm gonna do it now. So Andrea, Miss Ju, I believe, did not reapply. So this will be her last full board vote and her last full board meeting. So I want to say thank you to Andrea for all of your service.
I learned so much and from this entire experience, and it makes me feel really happy to know there's so many like engaged, intelligent people who are so thoughtful, care about the community, looking out for Lower Manhattan. And, I will still be coming to some of the meetings, not all of them, and yeah, thank you so much. Sorry, I'm being very public, it's not very good public speaking.
Do not be a stranger, and we definitely hope to see you. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And with that, will take us home. You're our last committee of the night.
Yell, Jill.
All right,
Jill.
hi, everybody. So, Zach, is there any way you can just pull up that reso on the screen? I'm sorry that I am remote. And in the meantime, I will talk about some of the other things that happened during the meeting.
Go ahead, because we have the resolutions in our hands here.
Yeah, we don't need it.
So we don't need it online.
Okay, all right.
You
So
know, for
anyway, it was a pretty short meeting that we had because we had a couple cancellations, but the first precinct came and spoke to us. And we were a little surprised to hear that overall, happy and surprised to hear overall that the crime in the area has gone down, despite what, it may seem. So some of the crimes that did happen were particularly disturbing, including a woman being hit on the head from the back while crossing West Street. I believe it was near Goldman Sachs, but the person was apprehended who committed or allegedly committed the crime. The one of the most important takeaways was that it's really more important than ever right now for women, all people, but women especially downtown, to just pay extra attention to their surroundings. If you're listening to your podcast, maybe just use one earbud. Interestingly, there was a lot of issues around the Burger King on Fulton Street, and was there a possibility of drug sales going on? And the cops did check it out, and I understand even the mayor may have gone down and checked it out, and the Burger King was not home. They found 2 drug sales, just cigarette sales. But one other thing that was very important, and I think we've heard this before, call 311 when you see things, anything, because they do look at the 311 records in terms of where they're going to put their resources. So any complaints, anything you see, even if you don't really necessarily expect them to take action, call it in. Okay. Really interesting conversation with an addiction treatment center application, and decided to do a reso. I'm going to, if you give me just one quick second here to pull this up. Gosh, please bear with me. Okay. Okay.
Bill,
Yeah.
do you need it? Do you need, we don't, we have
a
a resolution, so we don't actually need you to read it.
Okay.
We can.
Any questions on this resolution?
Any questions? No.
Okay.
This is a roll. All right, this is roll. The question is called, question was second. Mimi's roll calling.
Okay, people. Stay quiet, stay seated until we're finished. And then we can say bye, Andrea, properly. Emery,
Yes.
thank you. Blank,
Blank, yes.
thank you. Brown Kennedy,
Yes.
thank you. Chang,
Chang, yes.
thank you. Chapman,
Chapman, yes.
thank you. Cole,
Cole, yes.
thank you. Corman,
yes.
thank you. Lucha,
Lucia, yes.
thank you. Curtis,
Good.
thank you. Airman. Okay. Flores,
yes.
thank you. Flynn, yes. Broman,
yes.
thank you. Galloway,
Galloway, yes.
thank you. Goldstein,
Goldstein, yes.
Goodkind,
Kind, yes.
thank you. Joyce,
Joyce, yes.
thank you. Jim? Yes? Kay, Lerner,
Lerner, yes.
thank you. Lyon,
Lyon, yes.
thank you. Meltzer,
Yes.
thank you. Inslee,
Inslee, yeah.
thank you. Portia Corey, thank you. Robinson,
Robinson, yes.
thank you. Rossi,
Rossi, yes.
thank you. Shear. Oh. Star,
Sorry, yes.
you. Thompson,
Thompson, yes.
oh, thank you. Sung,
Yes, yes.
thank you. You,
Joel, I'm pulling your chair because.
you,
No.
okay.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Zelter,
Zelter, yes.
thank you.
Motion passes.
Yay.
9:39, meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Yeah, that's my.